I'm Dennis Reese, executive producer of Minecraft Legends. And today, we'd like to give you an insider's look at how we're building the PvP multiplayer experience for the game. Minecraft Legends is a new action strategy game set in a lush, dynamic world. It introduces epic storytelling, and you can form alliances with new and familiar Minecraft mobs to stop the invading piglins.
Minecraft Legends will let you play the story-driven campaign as an online co-op experience together with your friends. And it will also feature a PvP gameplay mode where 2 teams with up to 4 players each works to destroy the opponent's team space. The game will support cross-platform play and online matchmaking.
In order to create the best possible experience, we've partnered with Blackbird Interactive to develop the game. And it's been wonderful to see their commitment and focus on the Minecraft universe.
It's so much fun to be working with Mojang Studios on Minecraft Legends.
Here at Blackbird Interactive, we have a talented team of developers who are using our background in strategy games to bring a new and exciting experience to the Minecraft universe.
We're super excited to share more details about PvP gameplay.
There are some really cool features that make PvP unique.
First off, players share their army and resources with their team. This means that individual players aren't able to win on their own. They must cooperate to be successful.
Communication is really important, and you can sort of really tell the teams that gel together because they naturally form roles at the beginning of the game, and as soon as we start, you're off collecting, I start building. We have our favorite roles, but we change them up.
Also, the world in PvP is procedurally generated, just like it is in campaign. This means that each PvP session is different than the last.
That it's different every time you play, depending on how the map is generated, where the valleys are, the mountains are, where the secrets are, you know, where the towers are.
In Minecraft Legends, the piglins are an ever-present threat, and this includes PvP.
The piglins are on their own side. They're trying to kill both of you at the same time.
So the opposing team is not the only thing you need to worry about.
Beware of the piglins.
In PvP, there's something for everyone. For players who like action, they can go attack the piglins or lay siege to the enemy base. For players who enjoy exploration, they can search the world to find resources for their team, hidden treasure chests, or scout the enemy base.
Gathering resources to help the team out, that's super important. But whenever I get into a PvP match, the first thing I try to do is to track down the Regal Tiger. It's my favorite mob to ride because it's really fast, but it's also really cute.
For players who like building, you can spend your time building defenses and upgrading your base, because soon enough your enemy will attack, and you need to be ready.
So the first thing I do when we start is everyone runs off. I open the map, see where the enemy base is. First thing I build is what we call an upgrade tower, where it allows you to build upgrades. So I place that at the back, away from the enemy. So I really pride myself in making, you know, impenetrable bases.
Since the goal of PvP is to destroy the opposing team's base, defending your own base is really important. You have to start with a lot of walls, a lot of towers, and some gates. After that, you can just add whatever you want, freestyle it a bit. I like to add different layers of walls, so my opponents have to find their way through to my base, almost like a maze.
And then once those walls are up, I like to actually hide my ice traps behind them to catch enemies off guard.
When it comes time to finally take out the other team, my favorite strategy is to make a forward camp just outside the enemy base. Then I get the biggest, strongest mobs I can as fast as I can and start sending them in. Then I can smash down the walls, take out their mobs, and claim victory.
The real fun of PvP is creating a strategy, having a game plan, deciding how you think you're going to crush the enemy, and then all of a sudden the hosts tell you,
the opposing team just built a redstone launcher.
And you're like, I can't do my attack now. I've got to like build an anti-siege tower, which is an anti-air tower, to stop the redstone launchers. You just have to be constantly changing your tactics. And sometimes you like have no idea what they're doing. And then you certainly find out very quickly.
Resources, or do you want to go? I don't know.
A while back, we had somebody on our dev team use a strategy where they built a bunch of what are called plank golems, which are archers. So they're very weak, but they do a high amount of damage. And he had 40 of them, and he just ran through our base, ran around our tower, and took out our entire tower with such a simple strategy.
And that's why we still love playing it every day, because every game is different. You never know what's going to happen.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris Sasaki, and welcome to Turn 10 Studios. The team is hard at work bringing you the next generation of Forza Motorsport, built from the ground up to take advantage of the Xbox Series consoles. This is the most technically advanced racing game ever made. Today, I'm joined by some of our amazing team members to show you how we are making it look real, sound real, and feel real. This is Forza Motorsport.
At launch, Forza Motorsport features over 500 cars for you to collect, race, and customize with more than 800 unique upgrades. This includes over 100 new to motorsport cars, the most modern race cars we've ever featured on our roster. Racing is violent. It's a battle on the racetrack. The advancements in our physics model are greater than Forza Motorsport 5, 6, and 7 combined. This makes our driving experience more fun and rewarding in the way the car accelerates, corners, and brakes. Our materials and shaders are built from the ground up at higher resolutions and optimized for a cutting-edge ray tracing experience. Our paints are sourced using a spectrophotometer to capture multiple data points of light behavior on a surface. This yields a paint model that has a much more realistic light response across color, metal flake, and gloss. Damage and dirt buildup is unique to each car. It's now contextually aware and more localized. We simulate paint thickness, chipping, and directionality. Dirt accumulation is more realistic, gathering more in the low-pressure areas like recesses and alcoves. These innovations tell the story of the work you put into a race and reflects the marks and battle scars of motorsport.
This is our best-sounding Forza Motorsport ever, and the first to be mixed natively for immersive audio formats like Windows Sonic and Dolby Atmos. To create an immersive soundscape, each audio system has been rebuilt from the ground up to deliver a new level of sonic depth and authenticity for our players. Modifying car parts like your exhaust and turbo change the car sounds in Forza Motorsport, just like it would in the real world. Every car now has a variety of sound possibilities based on the parts you've installed. Hardware-accelerated convolution reverb accurately reproduces how sounds in Forza interact within an acoustic space, dynamically adapting to its surroundings and creating a realistic and detailed soundscape. New features like our regional track announcer system and improved tire and suspension audio bring a new level of realism to the game. Hear Forza Motorsport like never before. Every tire squeal, every engine, lap after lap.
Forza Motorsport launches with 20 environments, built from the ground up for this generation. You'll get to race on iconic fan favorites, as well as 5 all-new to motorsport locations, including our first in South Africa, Kyalami. We capture our environments to an incredible level of detail. When we reference a track, our team comes back with over 3 terabytes of highly detailed photogrammetry and laser scan data. Through the power of the Xbox Series consoles, we're able to use this data to draw up to 10 times more detail than previous generations. You'll see lush trees, dense grass and overgrowth vegetation, animated track life, physically based lighting and volumetric fog effects, and a fully procedural cloud system that evolves organically. Tracks look alive, sound alive, and feel alive with cutting-edge visuals and crowds consisting of tens of thousands of fully animated 3D spectators, so you're always immersed in the pure spectacle of racing. For the first time in Forza Motorsport, fully dynamic time of day with weather ensures a constantly evolving racing experience where no 2 laps ever look the same. Meanwhile, dynamic track temperatures, wet driving surfaces, and rubbering in ensure that no 2 laps ever play the same. I love the detail our talented team of artists have built into Kyalami. Fast forward to night, and the vista is truly breathtaking. You can see the distant light glows of the city, a beautiful visual touch. Even the Kyalami logo itself creates visual impact every time you see it, thanks to ray-traced global illumination, which simulates how hundreds of thousands of light rays accumulate color as they bounce between surfaces. We're rendering all our environments in 4K at 60 FPS with real-time ray tracing on track to create true-to-life reflections on all smooth mirror and flat glass surfaces. With the incredible detail and rendering features of our track environments, Forza Motorsport is truly a generational leap ahead with unmatched visual fidelity and authenticity.
Forza Motorsport is back, and it's our most comprehensive game ever, with over 500 cars and 20 environments, with more new race cars than ever before. You can experience all of this in our incredible new online racing mode and in our all-new car-building-focused single-player career. We cannot wait for you to get your hands on this incredible game.
That's me. And you're probably wondering how I ended up here. Well, it's pretty standard. Check this out. Music player in my chest. It's powering up my new robot arm. Whoa. It's making everything sync up with the beat. Let's rock. This is awesome.
What in the hell am I looking at?
The name's Chai, not Defect.
Is this the guy?
We'll take down this company, one boss at a time. Just so you know, they're insane.
Rock star?
Future rock star?
I'm Shinji Mikami, studio head at Tang Gameworks. Thank you for all your support over the years.
And I'm John Johannes, director on Hi-Fi Rush.
Chill out! It'll be fine! Power forward!
まあね、このゲームを僕が作ってたら、もう全然違うゲームになったと思う。うん。 だけどこういうゲームがね生まれて本当に良かったね。
So everyone thinks of us as putting out horror games like The Evil Within or spooky games like Ghostwire Tokyo, but this is clearly something totally different. And if this game hasn't already leaked, fingers crossed, we hope it's a pleasant surprise.
Let's have some fun.
まあ僕はね本当に新しいものができて未だにワクワクしてるよ。
お、でもチームもみんなそう思ってますよ。So we've been waiting for this for a long time. So let's jump in and explain exactly what Hi-Fi Rush is.
Hi-Fi Rush is a rhythm action game, so it's a bit of a twist on your traditional action game. Here, your moves and attacks help create a living soundtrack. That means all your flashy moves, stylish and devastating combos add a layer to the music. The more you flow with the beat, the better you can connect your attacks and abilities. You are in total control during combat, but everything you do syncs up like an awesome music video. That's Hi-Fi Rush. You play as Chai, a wannabe rock star and victim of a weird corporate experiment that lets him sense the rhythm of the entire world pulsing to the game's soundtrack. As you can see, the beat moves the world around you and is the key to combat.
You looking for me?
Your attacks will automatically sync to land on the beat, making Hi-Fi Rush a super easy game to start playing. However, attacking on the beat leads to combos that end with a musical countdown we call a beat hit. Think a big cymbal crash at the end of a drum solo, like this. Landing beat hits unleash a combo finish that adds a unique musical flair and high damage attacks.
And the crowd goes wild.
Chai! Chai! Chai!
Oh, anyone see the guy that did this?
How about we see it all in action?
Bring it on.
You're never restrained by the music. You can jump, dodge, parry, and attack whenever you want, using whatever attacks you want. It's not about mashing buttons. The key here is feeling the beat. Your progress isn't blocked by missing the beat, but you get rewarded musically and mechanically for staying in rhythm. When we say everything moves to the beat, we mean it. Enemy attacks, cutscenes, dangerous obstacles, you name it. It all syncs to the music, creating an ongoing jam session of a game. To help out is 808, your robot cat companion who literally hovers over your shoulder and helps you find that rhythm. But we also have visual guides to help you even more. We want you to be able to enjoy Hi-Fi Rush, whether you're a rhythm pro or not.
I look so cool doing this.
Chai also gets by with a little help from his friends. Literally.
Get up, slacker. We've got work to do.
Chai will team up with unlikely allies who expand his repertoire of moves both in and out of combat. There's Peppermint breaking barriers and juggling enemies, along with Macaron smashing enemy armor and knocking back enemies. Tag teaming with Chai's partners and attacks opens up huge possibilities for dynamic combos and over-the-top action.
That's not bad.
The extra help is handy, because when you're not fighting, you're going to be running around and wreaking havoc all over Vandelay's corporate headquarters, where everything is trying to take you down. You and your partners have a singular goal in mind: taking down the bosses of Vandelay Technologies. Besides wanting to erase Chai for being a defect, it seems they've got something a little bit more sinister on their corporate agenda. You'll fight through each department to take them all on, each level with their own musical spin on the rock genre. And then we have a showdown.
So let's get ready to crumble.
Boss battles are climactic set pieces, varying from straight-up fights and musical minigames to chase sequences. Custom choreographed to licensed music from amazing artists. Hi-Fi Rush is like nothing we've made at Tango before. And we think it's like nothing you've ever played before either. It's a high-energy, feel-good rhythm action experience that's amazingly satisfying to play.
Whew. Pretty rock star move, Chai.
もしね、ハイファイラッシュでお客さんから怖いって言われたら、俺もう死んじゃうかも。まあ他にもびっくりさせることあると思うんだけど、例えば猫とか撫でれたりするの。
いや、それは当たり前でしょうね。いや、でももう一つのサプライズはありますよ。
まあこれはジョンのゲームだから、ジョンからどうぞ。
So, not only were we super psyched for you to play this, we're happy to tell you that you can play Hi-Fi Rush tonight. Not a demo, the full game. Seriously. It launches on Xbox and PC a few hours after the show, and yes, it'll be on Game Pass as well.
We hope you enjoy playing it. 合ってた?
Yeah,
合ってた.
It was good. Super psyched.
You looking for me?
Get him!
Mind if I join?
Does that mean I have to fight?
I believe it does, sir.
How about...
This is entertaining. You're going out with the trash.
Here's your Project Armstrong pass. And welcome to Vandalay campus.
Yes!
Welcome to Hunt Valley, Maryland, and the headquarters of ZeniMax Online Studios. You just saw a cinematic teaser for the Elder Scrolls Online's next chapter. I'm pleased to reveal ESO Necrom, which will launch in June and is shaping up to be one of the best updates to the game ever. If you watched the teaser closely, you saw that Necrom will include one of the most requested features in ESO, a new playable class called the Arcanist. It's only our third new class since launch, and we know you're going to love it. The Arcanist wields magic influenced by forbidden knowledge and has unique abilities never before seen in this world. Of course, the experience of exploring a new area of Tamriel is the heart of every ESO chapter. Necrom will unfold in Eastern Morrowind, not seen in an Elder Scrolls game since 1994, where you will meet new characters and enemies, reunite with some old friends, and explore a story based around the return of a well-known Daedric prince you just might remember from the Dragonborn Skyrim DLC. For those of you new to ESO, we release a new expansion called a chapter every year. Chapters are essentially standalone games in ESO that let you adventure in a new region of Tamriel. But you don't have to wait for the Necrom chapter to jump in. We've got so many amazing experiences you can enjoy right now. If you love games like Skyrim and Oblivion, you'll feel right at home amongst the thousands of stories unfolding across every region in ESO. And as anyone who's played a classic Elder Scrolls game knows, it's all about those feelings when you're fully immersed in the world. Remember that feeling when you first encountered a dragon? We've got an entire province that's overrun by dragons. Or questioned if you were capable of taking down a frost troll in Skyrim? Try it for yourself in ESO. What about the moment you visited a city in Morrowind that was built inside the shell of a giant crab? For the Oblivion fans out there, how about another chance at taking on the colossal Daedric Prince, Mehrunes Dagon? Just like any single-player Elder Scrolls game, you can have a blast simply by following the main quest line. Or seek out lore and learn more about the world. Become a craftsman. Go fishing. Decorate and furnish your home. Customize your character. Play it like an action RPG. And when you're ready, you can easily engage in one of the best open-world PvP systems. Run dungeons co-op with your friends for great loot. Or just join a guild to chat with others. The possibilities in this virtual world are endless. New players will immediately feel right at home because our community is one of the most, if not the most, welcoming on the planet. We invite everyone who has not yet experienced ESO to give it a try and create your own stories in our shared world. There's no required subscription and thousands of hours of content to dig into, solo or with friends. Explore nearly every corner of Tamriel with no level restrictions. It's magical being able to travel almost anywhere you please from the moment you enter the world. ESO is available on PC and Mac, in addition to previous and current-gen consoles, including a purpose-built next-gen version for the Xbox Series X and S with high-fidelity graphics and enhanced performance modes. An added bonus for Xbox players, it's on Game Pass. And starting today, for a limited time, we're making all past chapters available to explore for any player, so everyone can test drive all of our adventures, including our take on Skyrim, Morrowind, Oblivion, and much, much more. At ZOS, we have so many passionate and talented developers who continue to add to Elder Scrolls lore by producing handcrafted, epic adventures, and I'm immensely proud to be a part of it. Believe me, we have tons more to share, and I can't wait for the team to show it all to you. Join us after this show for the 2023 ESO Global Reveal, where we'll go deep into all things Necron. Thanks. See you in Tamriel.
Something evil is swallowing up this place bit by bit. Nobody ever believes things can get this bad until it happens. Then, it's too late. But there are people who can fight back.
Stick together! Eyes up!
Welcome to Redfall, Massachusetts, where the calm seas and sunny skies have been eclipsed by a legion of vampires. Redfall is a story-driven shooter at its heart, which can be played single-player or co-op with up to 4 players. Choose your hero, each with their own unique abilities, and form the perfect vampire-slaying squad to take back Redfall's haunted streets.
At Arcane, we make games where the world itself is as important as the characters. With Redfall, we take an exciting step forward, building a lovingly detailed open world to deliver our largest setting ever. Every inch of our open world is carefully handcrafted and packed with environmental storytelling. Explore the streets of a quaint island town, from the once bustling downtown to the haunted forest, to the decimated seaside boardwalk and gorgeously detailed landmarks. But it's not all danger all the time. There are safe places on the island where you can rest up, chat with survivors, and resupply. Here we're at the fire station, one of your home bases. This is one place you'll receive missions from survivors.
There's something I need you to do. The old lighthouse in the bay. It's been used for over a century to keep boats away from the coastline. If we turn it back on, it's a warning to anyone trying to come to Redfall right now. Easy, right? Well, the lighthouse keeper's a real asshole. Joined up with those cultists and took the damn lamp with him.
Go on, Bert.
Here's a vampire known as the Shroud. Shrouds blanket the area in darkness, disorienting their prey. They hurl lethal projectiles and can even shift through the floor to avoid damage.
Bugging out.
The lighthouse is back up, but there's more waiting for you. Taking down vampires angers the vampire gods, who will summon the Rook to take you down.
Let's transition to what you'll find outside of the main story missions. There's so much waiting for you. Redfall is filled with encounters that can pop up anywhere, like this brewery that's fallen under cultist control. Save the locals from being offered to the vampires. Like our past games, you can approach a mission in many different ways. Always be ready to improvise. Remy uses her combat robot Bribon to help distract and eliminate the cultists.
We got him, Bribon.
Everyone's safe. Let's move on. Exploring Redfall will take you beyond the bounds of reality as you investigate otherworldly psychic spaces to unravel the vampire's secrets. Take this vampire nest. These deadly layers change each time you step inside. Jacob sends out his raven to tag the enemies below. Dev follows up with his teleporter, instantly closing the gap. To destroy a nest, you have to take out its heart, and all of the vampires willing to die to protect it.
Horrible way to die.
Durin, alive!
I woke them up! Just one bite.
escape the nest before it comes crashing down.
It'll collapse any second.
Nests aren't the only psychic spaces. You'll find dangerous pockets all over the island. It's all vampire turf, so tread carefully.
Gotcha! Redfall won't truly be safe until the vampires are wiped from the map. Outside the main story, another one of your missions is to take back Redfall neighborhood by neighborhood. Find safe houses hidden all over the island, and then work your way up to the vampire controlling the neighborhood. To reclaim this neighborhood, you'll have to defeat a powerful vampire called the Siphon. Whether you dive in solo or with friends, each hero can take on any situation. Each brings powerful, unique abilities to the fight, and the upgrades you choose change how they play. Here, Layla's lift ability can be upgraded to launch teammates for airborne attacks. Upgrade Layla's umbrella ability with bullet hail to absorb enemy bullets and release the energy back at them. There are many ways to customize your hero's ability tree to match your playstyle.
99.
Let's get some light on the subject.
Let's hit on the arsenal. There's a wide range of weaponry, from military gear to new vampire-slaying inventions, from shotguns to sniper rifles.
Well, well.
And of course, there's also vampire stakes. Find these in the world to customize your weapons. When you reclaim significant sections of Redfall, the last step is to face the underboss who controls, or used to control, that neighborhood. Underbosses are powerful elites of the vampire gods, with their own unique abilities, like this one's shield. When you prove yourself against the underboss, you'll receive a key of sorts. A skull that gets you one step closer to facing the ultimate threat, the vampire gods.
Thank you for visiting Redfall.
And thank you for all the support you've shown Arcane throughout the years.
We sometimes joke that our games can be tough to define. The one thing that's consistent?
We make the kinds of games we love to play.
And that's how Redfall was born. We blended everything we love here at Arcane Austin.
Immersive open worlds, unique and customizable heroes, RPG and FPS gameplay.
And of course, our signature storytelling and rich world building.
Along with our spin on one of the most classic monsters of all time.
Vampires.
It's been amazing to see how all of us have pulled together to deliver our vision for something new.
Redfall is the biggest, most ambitious game we have ever made.
Our teams dove head first into this new opportunity, and we can't wait for you to experience Redfall for yourself.
Thankfully, you won't have to wait too much longer. Redfall's coming on May 2nd.
Thank you again for joining us.
And we'll see you soon in Redfall.
Here we go.
There we go. 3, 2, 1.
Hello. It's so much fun to be working with Mojang Studios on Minecraft Legends. is our best sounding Forza Motorsport ever.
Yeah, that was alright.
Thanks, and see you in Tamriel.
All right, let's do this.
What's happening, friends? Welcome to this live edition of Podcast Unlocked, episode 579. We are recording to you, coming to you live, recording right after the Xbox Developer Direct, which has just concluded as we record this. I'm Ryan McCaffrey, joined as always by Miranda Sanchez, Stella Chung, and Destin Legary. Hello, my friends, and let's just get right to it. What were your overall thoughts? I want to hear about just the games, the format. Let's just start. Quick reactions. Miranda, you're up.
Redfall Vampires! I'm so excited. I know, obviously, it's something we've known a bit more about, but actually getting to see the characters on the ground, using their abilities in conjunction, and taking on enemies is exactly what I wanted. And we got a nice surprise out of it, too, with Tango announcing a game that's out today. It's been a while since we've had one of those, so
yes,
a good time.
Yeah, we will get to that in due course here. Stella, your quick thoughts.
I love this presentation. I thought it was great. I really like the documentary style of presentation they did. Obviously, we're going to go into like every single thing that they showed, so I won't go into that yet. But yeah, very happy. Them hot dropping a game was really cool. We haven't seen them since Apex dropped like 3-4 years ago. So very cool that they're taking that approach.
Destin, you're a producer at IGN.
Yeah.
You have an eye for putting these kinds of things together, and you think about it in a unique way. What were your thoughts on the Developer Direct?
Yeah, at first I was a little concerned because there was a lot of people talking on camera, but they kind of got into a really good flow. And by the end of the presentation, I'm like, I get it. This is their like presenting of the games. I think the Redfall one was my favorite because it was our first really deep dive. We got to see like loot in the game for the first time and how that whole system works, how the characters are different. There was a lot to dive into just with Redfall, but I really like this, and we're going to get other events like the ESO global reveal that's happening directly afterwards, where they'll do more of those deep dives of probably just how gameplay works and what to expect from those expansions. So big thumbs up for the showcase.
Yeah, same from me. I'm so glad that they have finally embraced this format that, let's be honest, Nintendo pioneered it and Sony stole it for State of Play, and they stole it because it works. And now Microsoft has taken it and just put their own little unique spin on it as well. And yeah, I thought it worked really well. There was no real fluff. It was just all it was all meat and no vegetables. And I know vegetables can be healthy, but in this case, Xbox gamers are hungry. And we did get some release dates. Not quite everything though. I would say for me that was my one and only disappointment from this. It's hard to complain when you get a brand new Tango Gameworks game that drops today.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no Forza Motorsport release date was really the only thing that kind of bummed me out a little bit, because the rest of it was all excellent. But I do want to start with the game that Microsoft ended with there, arguably the highlight of the show, and probably what everybody going into it was most looking forward to. And Miranda Sanchez can hardly even keep still. Game she's looking forward to a lot, Redfall. So Miranda, now we've seen a bit more of Redfall. We've heard from Harvey Smith and the development team a little bit. Where are you at with this game? As by the way, we have our date for this, May 2nd. So that is not too far away. That's just over 3 months out.
It's funny because we've actually heard a lot about Redfall up until this point. We've gotten a lot of like finite details and just very small things here and there. So there have been a lot of interviews with Harvey. I did one with him last year in June, I guess. And we got really deep into like how the loot works, how, choosing your character works. For instance, if you guys didn't see it, once you pick a character for campaign, you're stuck with them. You do not get to change between the characters. You stay with one character until you start a new game if you want to do that, like with co-op or something. So you can have simultaneous runs going. But what I really liked about this is we got a better vibe for what those characters are like. I like how they were so dynamic and shifting between different situations and encounters. Like you see what we're watching right now. The actual focus of the flashlight is so intense, and I feel like it's a little bit different from the last ones, like because you get those closer corridors in this house, and you get that kind of like almost spooky sense of like, oh, there's something behind me. But then you come in here where you're all powerful, you're walking right up into a vampire invisible, walking right just past them is totally fine. And so I like that they're able to show these different environments and also different kinds of vampires we'll be facing. So there's different levels of like just, of course, the grunts, but then there's different kinds of bosses depending on the activities you're doing. And then, of course, they show later on too, like the skulls we have to collect from these neighborhood bosses that are protecting these big regions, and then we get to go fight a god. So that's a pretty cool thing. And honestly, I love that deep dive again, as Destin was saying too, in the actual combat and letting us see how these things play out and how we will interact with them when we actually get to jump into the game.
Destin, you were pointing out something towards the end there that reminds you of one of your other favorite games.
Yeah, there were a few characters that reminded me a lot of Destiny, like the vampire who had a rotating shield reminded me of I believe they're Hydras in Destiny 2. And when they showed the final boss at the end of the level, that made me think of like strikes in Destiny. So I think this is going to be very similar to those looter shooters that we all love, like Borderlands, like Destiny. I know they've said during those interviews that it's going to be more like Far Cry, but I'm seeing way more vibes that lend toward the looter shooters genre, and I'm all for it. I actually really like seeing the skill points being given out and allow you to unlock like the progression of your character. I like seeing all the different classes, and to Miranda's point, how you can only play through as one. That also reminds me of Destiny, because like you pick your class, you play through the game as that, and then you can go to a different save file and play as that other character again if you just want to see what they play like. Really, really excited about Redfall. This did a lot to sell the game even further for me, and I can't wait to play May 2nd when it finally hits.
Stella, you are IGN's foremost competitive first-person shooter expert, so your opinion matters very much on this game. I mean,
Thank you.
It does. I mean, because
So
it's not a competitive game, but there are clearly some unique elements to it. What stood out to you in Redfall?
So it's weird. I'm really glad that we got more looks into Redfall, but I'm still not seeing that different sort of gameplay. Even like I know Dustin's saying that he sees more of like Destiny in this. I still just see this like Back for Blood system, and I think it's just because of the way that they chose to walk around in this gameplay trailer, and it's cool, but I understand that they are taking it a little bit slower just to make sure the audience can like really see everything. They're more focusing on the abilities, but to me, I'm really focused because this is an FPS game. I'm very curious to see how the movement is going to work in this, especially since in Back for Blood, Left 4 Dead, usually you can't really sprint because that takes up your stamina, so there's something that you have to build up with that. And here I can't get a good read on what it's going to look like, and if it's going to be fast paced, you definitely want to have good movement. And I know that in Back for Blood, they did kind of modernize that system, but still, it was very much like the Left 4 Dead system. So for this, I haven't been able to get a good read on how the movement is going to work, which is going to be huge. Also, I really wish we had seen more unique weapons like this one, this stake, like big minigun. That is so cool. And yet in the trailer, we see a lot of like assault rifles, we see shotguns and pistols. And I'm like, I want to see some unique weapons that you like that stake gun that like specifically are to kill vampires. So for me, my excitement is kind of the same. Like I'm still very excited, but I'm still very like hesitant about being like all in on it. Just because I feel like we are still getting very limited pieces of how this FPS game is going to work. But that's just like me being picky.
The freeze gun's not doing it for you, huh, Stella?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was cool.
I see what you mean as far as like we don't have a cut of straight like 10-minute gameplay, like or like 5 minutes. Like it's always jumping between something to show those featurettes. And I think that's still strong, but as you can even see, like we're looking at it, it's a lot of like pans, slow zooms. It's not people just like jumping in and playing the game. And I think that is definitely something we sort of missed on this generally, except I think Minecraft actually did it best in kind of walking us through how something went, but we are still missing that like kind of long reel of like, okay, how does this play? What are the overlays like? Obviously, right here, you can't even see like the skills or anything. They probably cropped them out or like turned them off. But yeah, I see what you're saying though.
Yeah, like I'm still really excited and I think it's going to be pretty solid, but for me, I'm very curious about like, I mean, I love being able to like just run around and shoot things. So for me, it's like, this is very deliberate gameplay that we're seeing. So I'm like, okay, I don't really know how this is going to play. And that's fine. I mean, there's like some mystery being left open for the game's actual reveal because, you know, May is very close. But still, I'm just like, man, I'm curious to see how like organic gameplay is going to look. So
I guess one quick thing too is I'm very curious about the ADS, which is very weird. Aiming down sights. So this is something I'm specifically talking about with Stella because I'm like, Stella, did you notice how it's still the same thing where they kind of put it up and there's kind of like a little bit of a scope, but it's like, man, that is a big ass scope we have on that weapon. Like, are we really looking through it or are we just like a little peek?
Yeah, like this right here specifically is so bad. I'm like, I am never going to use ADS if it looks like that. So it's like, is it kind of indirectly forcing you to just hip fire?
Yeah, that's my thing. It's like I really cannot wait to go hands-on with this someday, probably May 2nd, I guess. But you know, it's like I just want to know what is that like and why is it not fully in there?
Yeah.
Why are you
the HUD's turned off in all this footage, as you can tell here.
It is, but like you also don't get that. So usually with FPS games, when you do ADS, the rest of your screen does kind of zoom in as well. We don't see any of that. Now in some games you can turn that off, like in Call of Duty, you can actually turn that off as well. Some people prefer it, which is, I personally don't like that. But the fact that we don't get any zoom in and the scope doesn't seem to help out in this footage at all is kind of weird. So
well,
like
there was the sniper
one
segment.
Instance.
Yeah.
Well, there's that sniper segment, but that's when he was using an ability, it seemed like. Because it was like that blue, floofy, ethereal moment.
Like the sniper scope makes sense. There are some games that are very specific to like, oh, the sniper you can definitely scope in. I mean, even with I keep going back to Back 4 Blood, but Back 4 Blood did that. Like with all the other scopes, you couldn't really do anything unless you were a specific person or like a specific class, and then you could ADS on sniper scopes. But in here, it seems to be the kind of same thing. Like the sights don't really seem to be helping out a lot.
It's like you're holding a weapon, and instead of like pulling it up to your face to actually look down the scope, you're kind of just holding it up rather than like pulling it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just my nitpick from this still, I guess.
No, it's all good. These are important details that we will come to learn in due time. Yeah, this for me, the thing that jumped out for me was when Harvey said it is single player. It is a story-driven experience, which, you know, it's what's interesting to me with this game is it seems pretty different. Like you can see the arcane DNA in it. There's no question about that. But it looks, to me, this has a very, very different, certainly look, but even from what I can gather just from watching it, a different feel compared to Prey, compared to Dishonored, compared to Deathloop. Like it is definitely more of a core shooter, I think would be the way I would phrase it. And the town seems so interesting as a place that if the story, I just hope the story can match up to the unique setting and as well as this interesting variety of weapons. I really like the customizable stakes that you could attach at the end of your gun. That's a nice touch. It'll be fun to find those
I want to see
around the world.
I want to see more of the weird stuff, like the weapons that are. We saw a bone gun at one point, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Where do you get that? How do you unlock that weapon?
Like, I want to see the cool, unique stuff to this world that people had to make to survive. So, because that's like the biggest pull of this, right? For so long, we've been dealing with zombies, but now it's vampires, and that's totally different.
We've got May 2nd for this, as we said earlier. And Miranda, thank goodness for you on that, because as we've been talking about on Podcast Unlocked and really all the IGN shows, starting in late May with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and then on up through June with Diablo 4 and Street Fighter 6 and Final Fantasy 16, there is an absolutely insane stretch at the end of what is technically the spring and kind of into the beginning of the summer. But Redfall's, going to be kind of the first big game of May, and it'll give people a chance to just jump on Game Pass and try this thing out.
I've got 10 days to play Redfall.
You'll do it. I have, and I'm looking forward to playing some co-op with all of you
Yes.
in this game.
Yeah, we
here.
should do that here.
Yeah, 4-player co-op. It's going to happen. The Unlocked crew getting together for this one. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We will come back. The next thing on the agenda, we got to talk Forza, but first, after the break, I want to talk about the surprise from Tango Gameworks, Hi-Fi Rush, out today. So we'll talk about that right after this.
Tune in to IGN1 on your smart TVs for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle.
Cinefix on IGN1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Welcome to Should I Play This? This is what to watch here on IGN1.
Find it all in one place for free on IGN1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?
IGN Playlist is all of your games in one place. You can build your library and discover new games. Create and follow playlists from friends. Access guides for what you're playing. And rate and rank the games you love to share with the world. Available free with your IGN account. It's for players, no matter where you play.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, memes, the best user-generated videos and art, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
Welcome back. Podcast Unlocked recording live here, episode 579, immediately after Microsoft's first ever developer direct, which I think it's safe to say we all had high praise for. We'll give an overall grade for this at the end of this broadcast. But for now, let's talk about a brand new video game. So that's out today. So as soon as whenever they post it, they haven't put it up yet. Otherwise, we'd probably just have to stop doing the show and just go play this game. That game is Hi-Fi Rush from Tango Gameworks. And by the way, this is only one of 2 Tango Gameworks games that we are expecting this quarter on Xbox Game Pass, because Ghostwire Tokyo, which was a timed PlayStation 5 exclusive as part of a deal that Sony made with Bethesda prior to Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda, that should be hitting Game Pass, hitting Xbox in March. So jumping the gun from that is this brand new game, Hi-Fi Rush, and it is a rhythm-based action game. It's total, cartoon graphics, just leaning hard into that. A soundtrack featuring everybody from Nine Inch Nails to quite the eclectic mix of artists. Destin, I'm going to go your way first because, you were chirping away as this trailer was playing. You had quite the reaction. I think this looks great. I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, I really loved Metal Hellsinger earlier or back in 2022. So when I saw this, I was really interested in seeing how that style of gameplay is going to translate to what looks like a fighter platformer. I'm really excited to try it out more tonight, obviously. And what a great little surprise from Tango Gameworks. It's like way out of their wheelhouse. It's sort of a little experiment, and we've been seeing more of this from Xbox with games like Pentiment, where the developers are empowered to create like a smaller one-off and just see how it resonates with people. And that game was really, really popular with the people who actually played through it. So I'm excited to try Hi-Fi Rush because, like I said, I like Metal Hellsinger. This is hitting all the right notes, and I can't wait to play.
God.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Destin. Thank you for that. Couldn't help yourself. Couldn't resist. Stella Chung, your thoughts on Hi-Fi Rush?
So immediately when they showed when the main character jumped up and it showed the world, I was like, oh my god, this is like Sunset Overdrive and Jet Set Radio had a baby. This is great.
Yes.
And then they showed like the little button prompts where you could do like your massive combo for like your ultimate attack. And I'm just like, oh, it's like Guitar Hero 2. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is sick. This is nice. This this style is generally not my usual type of game style, but I love anything to do with music. I'm really bad at rhythm games, but like as soon as I saw them describe, which is why I love developer showcases, they were talking about like, yeah, like the background music, your main character always listens to it. And it's like he's tapping his foot to the beat. And as someone who grew up, you know, having to play like multiple instruments, I'm just like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is like feeding into that like childhood memory of like learning music, learning how to enjoy it. And like, I'm like, oh my God, you can like kind of make your own music beats here because the bass beat and the bass rhythm is whatever background music is going on at the time, but obviously you can do combinations, you can make different chain music beats here, which is really cool. And also there's a cute cat named 808. Like I'm sold.
Yeah, a little Ninja Gaiden here, maybe, if we're lucky. A little Guitar Hero, as you noted, a little Sunset Overdrive. This could be really up my alley. Miranda, you too seemed relatively enamored with this game. Your thoughts?
I like the design of the world. The protagonist character is a tad boring. I wish they could have made him a little bit more.
It's kind of vanilla, right?
Yeah, like give him a cool hair color. I don't know. Everyone else looks a little bit more interesting than him, I guess. Is my first thing. I was like, oh, I mean, don't you get like punk rock or just basic rock? Like, where are you going for? I think a little bit more style would have been cool for him. But that aside, I guess these sorts of rhythm action games aren't really my jam. Just my own personal taste. I feel like they can be a little cheesy, but from the design part, I do like how they are building this world to really work so well with that and do a lot of visual cues to make sure that folks playing this have a good understanding of how this beat constantly moves and to enable them to get those really big high score moments. I know they said too that you're not restrained by music. You don't have to play to the beat, but you are rewarded exponentially by doing so. So by hitting with the rhythm, being in time, environments and everything else is like really in sync to that. Like even on this clip here, you can see like the wall is like bouncing to the rhythm. So everything here is like designed to help you keep time. And some people really need help with that. You're ever at like at a big place, people are trying to clap together and you're like, oh no, because everyone's really bad at it. This game really wants you to succeed, and I like how that is designed. And I think that's what I'm most interested. I'll probably play it just because I haven't really given the rhythm action games much of a chance. But I think my big concern is the music, because if the music isn't to your taste, then I don't think this game will work, because so much of it is about the music. Even if you like the action, I would say it's hard to get by without liking what they're providing for the soundtrack. So
yeah, we were joking amongst ourselves during the stream that what if the Nine Inch Nails song is Hurt?
Yeah,
It's like
what's the
most
pacing gonna be
depressing.
like for that?
Like, wait a second, what
Yeah.
what am I supposed to be doing right now? But
Right.
by the way, if we're gonna not let Destin off the hook for his dumb pun, Miranda, you have to be called out as
I
well for
know.
saying that rhythm action games are not your jam. So just don't think that you can get away with that just right in the midst.
I just
of
appreciate it.
talking about like the jams and jellies, of the world.
Sure. All right. No, it's fine. Here's the thing about this game. Number one, it looks super intriguing. I love that it's like a full-on cartoon. I love that. Tango's they've done The Evil Within. They did 2 of those. You heard I loved Mikami-san sort of joking like this isn't very scary. And they've done Ghostwire Tokyo, and this is just this has visually speaking nothing to do with either of those games, and those games were cool, but I love that this is going full cartoon. I'm way into that. And I just want to, I wrote a column blasting Xbox pretty hard for not showing up at the Game Awards last month. And, with hindsight, you can always go back, because, part of me goes, well, why didn't they reveal this game at the Game Awards and say it's coming next month? But I want to not dwell on the negative and dwell on the positive here, which is that we badly needed release dates for first party games, first party exclusives for Xbox. 2022 was a miserable year in terms of those big blockbuster first party exclusives. And here we go. We expected the Redfall release date. We got it. We expected the Minecraft Legends release date. We got it, April 18th. We expected the Forza Motorsport, at least I expected the Forza Motorsport release date as part of this. Did not get that, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But here it is. We're still in January, and we not only got another bonus release date, we got a game, a first-party game. So I want to give Microsoft the credit where credit is due on that later today, after we're done with this broadcast, whenever they put it up on Game Pass, we'll be playing a brand new first-party exclusive Xbox game. And that is something that we've just been waiting for a long time, and and I'm so happy that Microsoft has managed to pull off the surprise. Do you
think they'll do it for the Starfield event also, Ryan?
No.
And it's available tonight.
Something tells me,
they did it that one time.
The last time, Stella, you were mentioning Apex as a more or less a surprise drop, but as far as last time, like there was
Fallout.
There was Dead Rising DLC for must have been Dead Rising 4 that dropped. Like they announced it at E3 and it dropped that day. That's the last time I can remember something like this happening, and that must have been even 3 or 4 years ago.
They did it for the Fallout mobile game, so Starfield. They can do it for Starfield.
Shelter, yeah.
Dustin, that's different.
I know. I'm
Zelda
just
DLC?
joking around.
Breath of the Wild?
But in any case, I'm thrilled that we have our first party exclusive game out on January 25th as a total surprise. So that's like the cherry on top of a game that looks really cool that I can't wait to play later today. I will say no doubt our reviews editor, Dan Stapleton, I'm going to give him a shout out. He's probably broken out in hives and or is profusely sweating right now as he has to manage the task of getting that game reviewed in as timely but in as complete of a way as possible. So we've got a few more minutes before we need to take another break. But I want to let's see if we can squeeze in real quick Minecraft Legends, because that is a game. I mean, it's arguably not aimed at core gamers. I was a little surprised they led with it. I thought they would throw that in the middle somewhere, but they opened with it. But Miranda, you were liking what you were seeing out of this game.
Hey, core gamer here. I like this game. I think it's cool. No, I understand what you're saying, though. It's like a potentially a different audience. But I would argue like this is something that's very appealing, especially to the folks who still play Minecraft or have fond memories of it, right? And getting to kind of be back in this world, mobs that the environments that and get to play in a different way. So they took time to look at the PvP multiplayer, and it is arguably probably more interesting to me than the campaign. So it's 4 players each on 2 teams, cross-platform, which is good to see that just out there most times these days. You share an army and resources across your team, and every map is procedurally generated. So you're just like running in, you got to build up your fort, and you got to go get your mobs and attack the enemy base. And it was so cool how they presented this, because as Dustin was saying, like we really want to get a lot of gameplay here, a lot of conversations. And I know, Dustin, you weren't as much of a fan of this segment as I was, but I really liked that they were walking us through their strategy for building this up. Like, honestly, I was like, that's a thing to do first. Like, you should absolutely do this. Like, this is a great tip, because it really helps me visualize how you go about playing this game and what the advantages are in playing the PvP.
Destin, care to respond?
Well, for me, the reason I didn't want to hear them, I wanted to see the gameplay, is because they've already released the PvP focused video. So for me, I'm like, let's see the PvP in action now, right? So getting to see it in action was definitely great, but like they had a lot of segments like where you're seeing on the screen where they were sort of talking about the game. I'm like, show and tell at the same time. Like my producer brain my gameplay brain just wanted to see more gameplay, It's really cool though that they're really showing off golems. They're showing off, rallying them up with your flag. I can't remember its specific name, but I think PvP could be a big growth avenue for them because the Minecraft community is going to really dive into that. And the fact that every world is procedurally generated is going to keep it unique every time you play it. So I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this, it is a little bit more of a, it is more of a core game than Minecraft is. So it'll be interesting to see if more Minecraft players gravitate towards this or more non-Minecraft players play this, enjoy it, and maybe gravitate back towards core Minecraft as well. All right, we're going to take another quick break, but we will be back to talk about Forza Motorsport, and we are going to talk about this big Halo situation going on with 343 and the state of Halo as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back.
In a world with non-stop news about Marvel, Netflix, and Star Wars, you need a show with accurate reporting, hard-hitting commentary, and me. I'm Akeem Watson, the host of The Fix Entertainment. Whether it's the latest superhero scoop, film fiasco, or anime announcement, I'll be right here covering all the latest in major studio headlines and pop culture news. Make sure to catch The Fix Entertainment wherever you watch IGN.
The only thing better than listening to IGN podcasts is watching them. Luckily, all your favorite weekly shows are here on IGN. Whether you're chasing the latest Xbox releases with Unlocked, looking for your PlayStation fix with Beyond, tracking everything coming to Switch with Nintendo Voice Chat, or catching up on this week's gaming news with GameScoop, we've got you covered.
Check it out.
Tune in every weekday for the best gaming coverage right here on IGN.
Have you been stuck on the same quest for just way too long?
I just want answers.
IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help. IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and of course, free. You can even track your progress with handy checklists if you go for 100% just like we do.
We're going to be going over some sensitive material.
IGN has the very best, most complete, and accurate guides for God of War Ragnarok, The Witcher 3, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Genshin Impact, Elden Ring, and so much more.
I will require some time to process this information.
Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN.
I'm Akeem Lawanson, and this is What to Watch on IGN1. It's a weekly show where we check out the latest and greatest in trailers, reviews, and everything else in the world of entertainment. Tune in to new episodes every Friday at 9 p.m. on IGN1.
Welcome back to Podcast Unlocked. We are reacting to the Xbox Developer Direct. It was about 40 minutes long. We got 5 video games. We'll see if we have time to talk a little Elder Scrolls Online, but first I do want to get to Forza Motorsport. That is the next-gen racing game, totally rebuilt. The Xbox One is being left behind. This racing game is solely for the Xbox Series X and Series S. Destin, I think this segment might largely be the two of us. You and I think, are the two people that care the most about this particular game, which is fine. Everybody's got their different tastes and preferences. The first thing I couldn't help but think of, Destin, with this is that even watching this on the stream, just it's the worst way to watch it because it's all compressed. It's 1080. You got to see, like, seeing this game in 4K 60 is going to be a completely different visual experience than watching it on a stream on YouTube.
Yeah, I actually reached out. So the IGN asset we're getting is actually from Turn 10, and we'll be releasing like a proper 4K version of this same asset. Thank you, Turn 10% of that over. Really excited to see that. And what a wow factor the graphical elements give to this game. I know it's silly to some people, but the fact that the dirt collects in the correct spots adds just another level of immersion. And getting to see that ray tracing while you're racing, and somehow they're going to have that while targeting 4K 60, that has to be like with DLSS or something, or FSR, which they use on the consoles, because I don't know how you accomplish that. for a racing game like this is the sim racer in the series, right?
Yes.
So
Closed circuit track racing,
yeah,
higher frame rate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's important, right? You can do 30 with a game like Forza Horizon 5. I think 60 is a little bit more important for a sim.
A very quick note, though. I mean, even if you're not interested in this game or like playing it, the technical achievements in this have implications for every other game, right?
Yep.
Like you have to look at these racing sims to see like what graphical possibilities there are, like what cool technology advancements they're making. Like that dirt will impact the dirt on your favorite RPG character someday. And so you shouldn't like dismiss that necessarily, right? Like that's a big deal.
Specifically Fable.
Yeah.
Fable's using this engine because Fable's using Forza Tech. So
oh my god, imagine.
Everything you are seeing here can be rolled into Fable should the Fable team choose to utilize it. So that is an excellent point to make about this, Miranda. But yeah, it's funny, Destin. I had the realistic dirt accumulation also in my notes because I'm a car guy.
I haven't seen that.
That is cool. That is an awesome, like, because a racing game, sure, you want the cars to drive realistically and behave, but those sort of little details just add so much to the realism factor of a game that's trying to be realistic. It is a simulation. It is attempting to simulate real life racing. So yeah, the realistic dirt accumulation is fantastic. I love that. 500 total cars.
Yeah.
100 of them new to motorsport. Now, I suppose that could mean cars that I actually don't know if there are cars off the top of my head, if there are cars that have been in Forza Horizon that have not been in motorsport. I guess there probably have, considering there's been for sure one and possibly 2 Horizons since we got our last motorsport.
Like the LFA. I don't know if that was in like Motorsport 7, but
or the Porsche Taycan EV, for instance.
That's right.
One of my favorite cars in Horizon 5. But 20 environments, all rebuilt for next gen. So even if they were featured in previous Forza Motorsport games, because really there are only so many famous racing circuits around the world. So all the major racing games have pretty well covered them all at some point in time. But all 20 rebuilt from scratch for next gen, including 5 that are, again, new to motorsport. So 5 that you've never seen in a Forza Motorsport game before. There's a single player career in this, which makes me very happy that it won't, of course, the online functionality, the online racing will be great. And, in single player, you'll be able to race as Forza Motorsport pioneered back in the day, racing the ghosts of your friends on the track and their drivatars. My drivatar is known to be quite a dick. If you run into my drivatar on the track, I've received many tweets over time of people upset at my drivatar for behaving the way it does.
They showed the driver for a second in the footage also, and it looks really, really good, like how they've decided to render that character. Of the 20 tracks, I was surprised we didn't get a new track announcement today because we only know of 5 of them. They really focused on Kyalami Grand Prix, which has only been in Assetto Corsica as far as I know, because I was sort of curious about that. But we know that this game is going to have an all-new Hakone track that takes place in Japan, and they've teased that on their socials. So I was surprised that they're focusing a bit on a track that was confirmed and maybe even shown a little bit. So we know about Kyalami, we know Laguna
It might just
Seca.
be furthest along, right? From a development perspective, it might have just been the one that was most, in shape to show off on this thing.
Maple Valley was the one we saw in the first trailer, and then we got a look at Kyalami. We know Laguna Seca, Francorchamps, and Hakone are also confirmed for the game. So where are the other there's 15 more tracks they're going to reveal for Forza. Yeah. That's awesome. With the 500 car thing is also nothing to snub your nose at. That is a huge roster of vehicles to choose from. I can't think I don't know how many were in GT7 last year, but I don't think it was 500. Was it? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know. I'll have to look it up here. We'll have our crack news team, i.e. me, when one of you is talking. We'll look it up. But
well, I'm surprised we're not mentioning the fact that the temperature of the track is going to affect how you drive and stuff. And that was what stood out to me. I know the dirt is interesting and all, but like the temperature of the track is what really got me. And I'm actually surprised that they didn't show any like damage and how that'll be sustained on your vehicle and how that'll affect your driving, which I know if it's a sim, you want it to be as realistic as possible. So I'm surprised we didn't really get a good look at that. So I don't know. Car experts, what do you think about that? particular aspect.
They discussed the damage aspect, and I don't think it has a physical impact on, you know, wind or anything like that that would impact your car or your drivability. So I think it's visual and aesthetically, but it is directional. It does go through multiple layers of point. So like if you scratch in a specific spot, that's where that scratch will take place, and they will show through the layers of paint there. But I do think it's just an aesthetic aspect to the game. They also covered off on the fact that this is going to be the first game where they have multiple tire compositions. That's something that like GT has done for years. And GT was the previous game I played, and before that I played Forza Horizon 5. Great racers, just very different genres, right?
Oh,
but anyway, the tire composition thing is kind of a big deal for this, because with the time of day effects and the weather effects and everything impacting how your tires drive, Stella, to your point, it's going to have a drastic impact. And they've even bragged about how like they're going to check what the tire is doing 16 times every second, so you get that level of realism to the Forza Motorsport gameplay. One thing,
by the way, Destin, just to jump in. And I know you weren't trying to make like a console fanboy comparison. It's just that GT7 was the last major sim racer to come out.
I bought a steering wheel for it. I was super into it.
457 cars is the current list. So, you know, similar number, tons of cars in both games. But
and then I wonder what Motorsport 7 had then also. Anyway, that's for after the show. The last thing I was going to say was. You know what? I lost it. Back to you, Ryan.
That's okay. No, I mean, this game, it's been a while since Forza Motorsport 7. And while I am on record as saying I actually do prefer, I think Horizon is the even better game. I'm not trying to insult Motorsport, because it's been a phenomenal sim racing series for years. I actually think it passed up Gran Turismo a few iterations ago, even though, again, GT7 is great, and I've got a PSVR 2 pre-ordered, and I'm really looking forward to playing some GT7 in VR. That's something that I will not be able to do in the reboot of Forza Motorsport here. But
sound. That's what it was. That's what I lost.
Yeah, go ahead. You want to talk a little Dolby Atmos?
Yeah, so they confirmed Windows Sonic and Dolby Atmos, but they also did a segment about how the sound is going to impact your driving. And it made me think of the PlayStation 5 controller and how they use the haptic feedback in the triggers to recognize when you were doing your corners perfectly, like just hitting the edge, and you would get that vibration. It seems like the Forza team, their solution with Forza Tech is to have a sound design, and they really accented that very clearly when you were on the edge of the track and feeling that vibration, which is really important to a driver who wants to shave off that 1 second, you know, every lap and hit every corner just right. So those small things are very important in the sim racing scene, and I think it's going to do a lot to further immerse players in that sort of driving experience.
Well, don't forget, Destin, that our friend the Xbox controller, Forza's one of the few games that made good use of the rumble triggers.
Yeah.
Over time, where, you know, if you grab the brake real hard, you can actually it kind of simulates the feel of the brake caliper grabbing the disc to try to stop the brake rotor. So I can't wait to see. Like, the thing about Forza is they've always had really talented technical folks. Like, you know, I think Miranda was touching on it at the top of this segment, where it has always been a gorgeous game going all the way back, and they have never let up on that. Forza has always looked stunning, and that's always been led by Motorsport, and Horizon's done a great job of turning that into an open world scenario. You know, the Playground team that does Forza Horizon and the Turn 10 team that does Forza Motorsport, they share a tech pipeline. So they are constantly, when one team makes an improvement, it gets shared with the other team for them to utilize as well. So, you know, even the things that Playground did for Horizon 5 have no doubt in some small, medium, or large way contributed to Motorsport and this next gen reboot that we're getting. We've got a couple more minutes here, so I want to go I know we're kind of out of time for ESO. Great to get another expansion. Those expansions are almost like clockwork. Every June, you get a major new expansion for ESO. They're putting up all the old ones for free. Do we have one more segment, or are we out? Somebody needs to remind me.
Well, they remind
All right,
you.
so we're gonna be out live, but we're gonna come back and do another segment to talk about Halo because and I'm not done talking yet. But before we cut out from the live broadcast, I just want to get a grade from each of you, grading this Xbox Developer Direct, the first one of these they have done. Miranda, I'll go to you first. Give us on the United States grade, school grades, A, B, C, D, F. How did Microsoft do today?
I actually give it an A. I thought it was great. They delivered exactly what they said. They gave us an extra surprise. I got a very good understanding of all these games. Mostly release dates. One, they're not ready to share yet, so that's fine. I thought it was a really good time.
Stella?
Yeah, same. An A. I think about it like the tier list, but then the S is at the top, right? So I'd say it's an A. They didn't go away. They didn't stray from the tracks of what they said they were going to deliver. Like Miranda said, they had everything in there, and they even hit your bingo, your prediction, Ryan, about dropping a new game. So yeah, absolutely an A.
Destin?
B.
Quickly.
Redfall gets an A.
All right. I'm going A as well. Again, the only thing I can possibly complain about is that lack of a Forza Motorsport release date. Is it still going to make that out before the end of June window that we were promised a year ago? We shall see. But that'll do it for this live episode of Podcast Unlocked. But we will be back if you join us on your favorite podcast service or on YouTube later. We're going to do another segment. We're going to talk some Halo. So until whether we're done or whether you're coming back to see us later, we'll see you soon.
Tune into IGN1 on your smart TVs for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle.
Cinefix on IGN1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Welcome to Should I Play This? This is what to watch here on IGN1.
Find it all in one place for free on IGN1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?
IGN Playlist is all of your games in one place. You can build your library and discover new games. Create and follow playlists from friends. Access guides for what you're playing. And rate and rank the games you love to share with the world. Available free with your IGN account. It's for players, no matter where you play.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, memes, the best user-generated videos and art, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
I think so. That sounds about right.
There's a lot happening with ESO. They showed a ton during.
Rated mature.
PlayStation.
Due to a variety of factors like new video game consoles and your run-of-the-mill global pandemic, a whole lot of games got delayed in 2022. That kind of sucked in 2022, but it means 2023 is going to be absolutely bonkers in terms of video game releases. Here are a whole bunch of the games that we know are coming out in 2023, and it's not even all of them. Let's get to it. The year kicks off with Fire Emblem Engage on Switch. This is the follow-up to Three Houses, and this time around you'll be able to summon or engage characters from the series past, including OG protagonist and Smash staple Marth. You can put a ring on it January 20th, so save the date. So let me get this straight. The team behind Final Fantasy 15 developed a new RPG that's not what I would call a Final Fantasy game. It's a freaking PS5 console exclusive that's also coming to PC, and oh yeah, I'm talking about Forspoken. Yeah. Okay, that is a game that's out this month. It was supposed to be out in May, and then in October, and it might actually come out on January 24th, so check it out. If the Callisto Protocol didn't satisfy your need for deep space survival horror in which combat tips are awkwardly written on the wall in blood, well, you can relive the original Dead Space with Dead Space Remake. The entire game has been recreated painstakingly in the Frostbite engine, and it shakes things up a bit with a disgusting new system which is called peeling that apparently lets you mutilate those necromorphs down to the individual bones and tendons. That's horrible, and it's also on new gen and PC on the 27th. On February 10th, it's back to school season in the Wizarding World, and Hogwarts Legacy lets you live out the ultimate fantasy of attending Harry Potter's alma mater. Just imagine the thrill of paying out the ass for textbooks that try to bite you, the least wheelchair-accessible stairs in the history of schools, and your entire academic career being determined by a guidance counselor who is a talking hat. But hey, at least you can re-roll if it puts you in Hufflepuff. If you wish Monster Hunter was a little more like Fortnite, keep an eye out for Wild Hearts, yet another fantastical world for you to explore. This one is inspired by feudal Japan. Imagine that. It's developed by Omega Force, the studio behind the Dynasty Warriors series and its myriad Muso spin-offs, and if the fact that EA is publishing worries you, bear in mind that Activision published Sekiro. Will you heart Wild Hearts? See for yourself when it's out in the wild on February 17th. If you're not totally sick of hearts after eating a box of Valentine's candy while playing Wild Hearts, on the 21st, Atomic Heart can get your blood pumping. This is the single-player first-person shooter with a Soviet aesthetic that looks a bit like Fallout's paleo-futurism, but from the other side of the Iron Curtain. However, its combat and weirdness levels seem more in line with BioShock. If you're looking for something to pass the time until Ken Levine's Judas, this might be worth checking out, and it's on everything but Switch. On February 22nd, Sony is for all intents and purposes launching a brand new console with the PlayStation VR 2, which will have a pile of launch titles to go with it, and at the summit of this molehill of day one releases, you'll find the Horizon spin-off Call of the Mountain, which promises to be a full-length VR game, maybe not as long as the flagship Horizon games, but definitely more meaty than your average virtual reality experience. That's exclusively on PSVR, which is exclusively on PS5. The name Company of Heroes might suggest a sandwich chain like Subway or Quiznos, but rest assured, Company of Heroes 3 is still a World War II RTS. In addition to 2 unique campaigns in Northern Africa and Italy, this one also adds new gameplay features like a dynamic campaign map and a tactical pause, which sounds great for when the real-time combat gets a little too real. That comes to PC on February 23rd. Sons of the Forest is the direct descendant of the hit woodland survival game with a heavy emphasis on survival. While a lot of us would prefer to be stuck on a proverbial desert island with a Steam Deck or an attractive celebrity, this one will see you foraging for supplies and braving the elements while also fending off a horrible cave system full of terrifying mutant cannibals. Sounds lovely. That's on PC. If that's too scary and you'd rather repeatedly kill some adorable astronauts through a reckless trial and error approach to aeronautics, Kerbal Space Program 2 lets you do that and lots more. That hits early access on PC on February 24th, but the developers promise custom bases, multiplayer, mod support, and of course console versions down the road. If you yearn for the simpler days of classic turn-based RPGs with beautiful pixel art and Dickensian campaigns, or if you just thought the 2018 game Octopath Traveler was pretty cool, well, you're in luck because Octopath Traveler hits PC, Switch, and both PlayStations also on February 24th. On March 1st, the day before hits PC, and before your eyes glaze over at the idea of yet another post-apocalyptic zombie survival game with base building and survival elements, get a load of these graphics. A lot of games on this list were delayed due to the pandemic, but developer Fnatic pushed this one so they could switch engines from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5, and it looks like that was a smart move because it's the second most wish-listed game on Steam after Hogwarts Legacy. That's on PC with plans for new-gen console versions later on. Wolong Fallen Dynasty is the latest project from Team Ninja, and it looks to continue the long tradition of kicking your ass repeatedly, which began with Ninja Gaiden and the Neo games, but this one's set in China's Three Kingdoms period, but it's got a grisly dark fantasy twist. That is on all the stuff that isn't made by Nintendo. Allegedly, Skull and Bones is finally coming out, but I will believe it when I see it. This is Ubisoft's multiplayer pirate game, which supposedly began as an Assassin's Creed Black Flag spin-off, and at one point was apparently like For Honor with boats, but since then it's taken the shape of something much more like Sea of Thieves, and it's been delayed about, well, my entire career. Anyway, that drops anchor on new gen and PC March 9th, allegedly. To make up for the extremely long wait for Bayonetta 3, Platinum Games is rewarding fans of the bespectacled Umber Witch with a brand new installment less than a year later. Bear in mind, it's a pretty big shift, ditching the realistic third-person action for a top-down adventure with a cuter storybook aesthetic, but it definitely looks more fun than waiting 5 years for a sequel. That is on Switch, March 17th. Still on March 17th is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the follow-up to Fallen Order, which sees the return of an older and hairier Cal Kestis who will undoubtedly have some new tricks up his sleeve. Technical hiccups aside, Respawn knocked it out of the park with the first game, so hopefully this continues this streak. That is on new-gen consoles and PC. What are you buying? Well, on March 24th, Resident Evil 4 Remake probably. Between the recent mainline entries and the last two remakes, Capcom probably hasn't had the trust of fans like this since, well, probably RE4's original release, and a modern remake of one of the best, albeit most divisive games in the entire series, with a few modern adjustments, seems like it'll be a pretty good time. That's on both PlayStations, Xbox Series X, and PC. Crime Boss Rockhay City is a brand new first-person shooter that came totally out of left field, and we don't know much about it other than it's got a star-studded cast, which is mostly Michaels and Danny's. Specifically, Rooker, Madsen, Glover, and Trejo. It also has Kim Basinger, Vanilla Ice, and Chuck Norris. What's the gameplay like? Great question. That's on PC March 28th and consoles someday. Before there was BioShock, there was System Shock, and this is yet another classic that's getting a full modern remake, and if you're having deja vu, that might be because this got kickstarted way back in 2016, and sometime in March you'll finally get to play it. That's on everything that doesn't say Nintendo on it. Dead Island 2 has had a long and rocky development, and on April 28th it is finally rising from its grave. LA is infested with zombies, and you gotta go kill them. What do you kill them with? All kinds of stuff, including stuff that's glued to other stuff that you glued there on a crafting bench. That's coming out April 28th, once again on everything but Switch. But hey, Switch owners are going to be just fine because on May 12th, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom finally drops. Breath of the Wild was such a genre-redefining watershed game that the wait for a follow-up has felt like a lifetime, and that might be because this has been one of, if not the longest breaks between Zelda installments in the entire series history, so let's hope it lives up to everybody's sky-high expectations. It's been a very long wait for a new game from Rocksteady, the studio that gave us the Batman Arkham series, and while it's set in the same universe, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League looks to be a pretty huge departure. This time, players can get down with their bad selves as Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, King Shark, and/or Deadshot. That's on new gen and PC. Street Fighter 6 looks to be maybe the biggest shift for the series since its jump from 2 to 2.5D back in Street Fighter 4, but this is much more than just a visual leap. It's adding a character creator and a whole hub city for you to explore and hang out in and presumably do some street fighting in, but don't worry, as far as fighting goes, it's not reinventing the wheel, and the buzz for this among fighting game diehards seems very positive. That's on PS4, PS5, Series X and S, and PC. Diablo 4 has been in the works for a very long time, but it sounds like it's going to be worth the wait. With a color palette that's far more in line with Diablo 2 than 3, it is a clear return to proper dark fantasy, and its gorgeous world is wide open for you to explore while slaying demons and hoarding loot. That's out on 6/6 for everything but Switch. Like many other games on this list, Final Fantasy XVI is a massive departure from its immediate predecessor. This time it's scrapping the futuristic elements and returning to good old-fashioned medieval fantasy, and if you're tired of open worlds, rest assured this looks to have a much more focused area-based approach to level design, but combat is still going to be in real time. That one's exclusively on PS5 for the immediate future. Forza Motorsport gives Microsoft's flagship racing title a soft reboot for its first dedicated foray into exclusively new-gen territory. This will undoubtedly be a real showcase of what the Series S and X are capable of graphically, and those sexy anime ladies you plastered all over your tricked-out Subaru will look sexier than ever, and so will the Subaru. That's on Series X and S and PC sometime in the spring. A whole bunch of games have been given the extremely broad release window of first half of the year, so here are some games you're going to be playing probably sooner or later. Hollow Knight received universal acclaim, including IGN staff voting it the best Metroidvania of all time, despite an utter lack of Metroids and Vanias. A lot of people are dying to get their hands on Silksong, which is the immediate follow-up that puts you in control of Hornet, the enemy-turned-ally from the first game, who has a totally unique moveset. Fans of Homeworld 2 have been waiting 2 decades for a sequel, and they won't have to wait that much longer. Homeworld 3 takes place even further in the future and will shake up the deep space RTS formula with the addition of terrain that'll allow for cover. It's still in space, mind you, but there's just a lot of shit floating around up there now. If you love the games that Arcane has put out, like Dishonored, Prey, and Deathloop, and you hate vampires, boy do I have the game for you that you probably already knew about. Redfall will have you staking your claim in a New England town filled with bloodsuckers, and this time around it's co-op, so up to 3 friends can join in on the fun. Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl is the long-awaited sequel to the 2007 post-apocalyptic survival horror game based on the Tarkovsky film of the same name, based on the classic novel Roadside Picnic, and its development has certainly not been a picnic, roadside, or otherwise. In addition to all the other hurdles of developing a AAA video game through the pandemic, Ukraine-based GSC World also had to put things on hold while their country was being bombed and invaded by Russian forces. This is supposed to hit the new Xboxes and PC sometime in the first half of the year, but I think of all the games on this list, I don't think anybody's gonna be mad if they need more time. Starfield is shaping up to be Skyrim in space. And before you tell me that's a stupid, reductive way of describing it, I'm quoting Todd Howard, so take that. Anyway, in space, no one can hear you dragon shout, but you can probably go collect some cheese wheels on the moon or on one of the hundreds of other planets in this game. That's on all the new Xboxes and PC. If you like deep space stuff, but Starfield sounds dauntingly expansive, well, there's also The Expanse, a Telltale series, which is a narrative adventure set in the universe of the hit TV show, and that's on PC and consoles. If you think narrative adventures are a novel idea, well, it's time to unravel a new story with Alan Wake 2, which sees the return of Remedy's author-protagonist, but this time around promises to be a proper survival horror. If you're one of the many people who spent thousands of hours hunting and crafting and riding dinosaurs in Ark, you may have thought to yourself at some point, this game is great, but it needs Vin Diesel. Well, you weren't the only one, because Vin Diesel felt the same way, and after playing a shitload of the first game, he's not only starring in the sequel, he's also involved with its development as Studio Wildcard's president of Creative Convergence, which means he's also executive producing an Ark animated series. Sure, why not? If you think giant robots are f***ing awesome, you're correct. And FromSoft's beloved mecha series Armored Core is back with its 6th long-overdue installment, Fires of Rubicon. What took so long? Well, FromSoft was busy establishing a little genre called Soulsborne with a trilogy of Dark Souls games, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and of course Elden Ring. There's absolutely no reason to expect Armored Core to be anything like those games, and according to the developers, it isn't really, but considering those games are what amassed FromSoft its devoted following, I imagine those fans are being taken into consideration at least somewhat. That's coming to everything. Another AC franchise getting at least one new entry this year is Assassin's Creed. Longtime fans might be relieved to hear that after the last few games have veered heavily into action RPG territory, Assassin's Creed Mirage is going to scale things back and return to the original game's design pillars of stealth, parkour, and assassinations. The setting? 9th century Baghdad. The first Hades was a smash hit in 2020. Its fast-paced roguelike action and slick visuals earned it a spot on countless best-of lists, as well as nabbing IGN's Game of the Year award. While we're always happy to see Supergiant Games go back to the drawing board to try something completely new and experimental, we're also thrilled that there's more Hades on the way, which will undoubtedly have plenty of surprises in store. Pinocchio fans, if such a thing actually exists, have had a pretty busy couple of years. Hot on the trail of Disney and Del Toro's feature film takes on that dishonest but lovable wooden boy comes Lies of P. This action RPG retells the original 19th century fairy tale in the form of a fast-paced action RPG a la Bloodborne, and yes, you'll be able to tell lies. Marvel's Spider-Man was one of the best-selling games on PS4, so unsurprisingly, it's getting a follow-up, but the sequel will be exclusive to PS5. After seeing how much Insomniac Games was able to do with the new hardware when Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, we are dying to see what new tricks our friendly neighborhood wall crawler has in store for us in the sequel. The Cops and Robbers co-op shooter Payday 2 gets a long-awaited sequel a full decade after the last game released. This time around, players can expect larger-scaled heist, as developers have described the setting as, quote, a living, enormous representation of New York City. Another series getting a sequel after a decade of nothing, unless you count the mobile game, is Pikmin. We basically haven't seen anything from this game outside of a 30-second trailer, but we have a sneaking suspicion that it will involve some Pikmin. I don't know, what do you know about this game? They haven't shown us anything. A whole bunch of beloved horror movie licenses have found new life in the asymmetrical multiplayer genre, and joining the ranks of Friday the 13th, Predator, Evil Dead, and Killer Clowns from Outer Space is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Based squarely in the era of the 1974 slasher classic, the game will have one team playing as meddling teens who have to, not get murdered, and the other team will be playing as not just Leatherface, but his entire messed up family too. Considering how much Gears of War copied Warhammer 40k's homework, it's only fair that they get to follow suit, and the 2011 third-person shooter Space Marine clearly understood the assignment. Now, we're finally getting a sequel continuing the adventures of Ultramarines Captain Titus, who will eviscerate a sea of screeching Tyranids, and this one sounds pretty cool. And finally, for this list, not for all the games coming out, is The Wolf Among Us 2. The reformed Telltale Games is finally returning to the Fables universe to continue Bigby's story. This new game picks up 6 months after the last one, and if you need a refresher, that's totally understandable because the last game was released a decade ago. And there you have it. That's a whole bunch of games that are coming out in 2023, and it's not even all of them because a whole bunch of them we don't even know about quite yet. But I know a cool website you can keep an eye on if you like video games. It's called IGN.com. 2023 is going to be a doozy. I'll see you around.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. We got a great lineup here today. First of all, sitting right here, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Right beside him is Christian Harloff is here, gracing us with his presence. Ray's,
don't you slow clap me.
Ray's favorite guy. Ray Elmer is here, of course, sitting right beside Ray. Running the show today, Jonathan Boyko, and Taylor Gonzalez is over there as well. With what the hell is that on your lap?
Oh, it's Bring Your Child to Work Day, so I brought Shrek with me.
That's why I'm here.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making the show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into 2 parts. The first half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. When we get to the end of the main topics, we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats. That will be your time that you can fire in your thoughts and opinions and questions, and we will address those in the second part of the show. All right, I was also going to let you guys know a little bit of a programming note. I had mentioned yesterday that I'd be doing an Avatar open spoiler discussion today. That is actually going to happen tomorrow. We've got a full day around here. So our Avatar Way of Water open spoiler discussion will be late tomorrow afternoon. So we will update you with the exact time of that a little bit later. All right, guys. With that all down, we got a whole bunch to talk about here. So let's get into a couple of off the tops. And the first one is this. Obviously, the big story in the world of movie fandom and everything right now is everything that's going on at DC. Clearly, they're in the middle of a total reshuffle, whether that's going to be a full reboot, a soft reboot, whatever it's going to be. They got a lot of changes coming, and we are eagerly anticipating January, February to get here so Peter Safran and James Gunn can start telling us about some of these active changes. We know some of the things that are being taken away, but what are the things that are going to be added? We'll find that out shortly. Now, obviously, a lot of theories have been going around, like it's going to be an absolute complete page 1 reboot, start to finish. Some people think it'll be mostly a reboot, but they're going to keep a couple of pieces around. One predominant theory was that James Gunn is going to keep his Suicide Squad. Now, that's one of the more popular ones that we saw running around, that James Gunn will reboot the DCU except the Suicide Squad because it was a critical darling and all that kind of stuff. Peacemaker was a part of that, and Peacemaker was the #1 show in the world while it was running. So they're going to do all that. Well, James Gunn, while he's not giving us a lot of new details about what is coming, he's been pretty active about debunking fake rumors, and he's come out to debunk this one. This one's over on CBR, but James Gunn has now officially debunked the idea that, specifically, that he was going to reboot everything in the DCU except for the Suicide Squad. In response to a Twitter user asking him, or who made this comment, "Who knows if it's true, but recasting all the main DCU characters, but keeping some. Will be interesting how Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad characters live on, but the others don't, particularly when they have all interacted together." Now, James Gunn followed that up by saying this specifically, "I keep seeing posts with this untrue theory. We are not recasting everyone except the Suicide Squad." All right, I'll read that part again. "I keep seeing posts with this untrue theory that they're going to recast everything except James Gunn's Suicide Squad. This is an untrue theory. We are not recasting everyone except the Suicide Squad. Okay. James Gunn bringing in some clarification, but not a lot. Because, okay, you're not recasting everyone except the Suicide Squad. Okay? But he doesn't actually tell us, does that mean you aren't recasting everyone and Suicide Squad will be kept in place and some others? Are you saying everyone is being recast and Suicide Squad is not immune to that? So again, he debunked a very specific rumor that everyone is getting recast except Suicide Squad, but he's not real clear on that, which is fair. He should be vague right now. But still, does this mean Suicide Squad is getting recast? We don't know. This tweet doesn't actually answer that. Is everybody else getting recast? We don't know. This tweet doesn't actually answer that. All we know is that it's not going to be everybody else except Suicide Squad. Rob, this brings up the question again that we've been kind of batting around here for a while, and we probably will continue to bat around till mid-January or February. Obviously, big changes coming to DC.
Big changes.
But is it a total, complete, page one, clean slate reboot? Is this something a little bit short of that? I have thought for a long time, well, it can't be 100% because we know they're going to do Peacemaker Season 2. All you have to do is retcon a couple of minor things in there and you can do it. But then you brought up very wisely yesterday on the show that, well, no. They can get Peacemaker Season 2 out before the reboot happens and then still reboot everything. So I don't know. At this point, seeing now this tweet from James Gunn, what do you think about, how do you interpret James Gunn's tweet here? And is it going to be a complete clean slate? Is it going to be clean slate sort of, but they're going to bring some pieces over? What do you take at this point?
Well, I would say first, you have to look at, this is a business. It's all about what has made money. Aquaman, I would look to Aquaman and go, okay, Aquaman made $1 billion. They have Aquaman the Lost Kingdom, which, by the way, was finished a long time ago. They're deep into the post on that movie. They know if it's great or not. Well, if it looks to be as great as the first movie, why would you get rid of $1 billion franchise? I mean, if the movie, reboot or not, from a studio perspective, you've already reached that $1 billion level with the first movie. There's no reason to suspect if the next movie is great. It's also James Wan and Peter Safran producing. Why would a producer want to get rid of that franchise? Especially if they're looking at it going, great, let's make a third one. You know, so I could absolutely see, and we've already had Jason Momoa say, thank you, James Gunn. Everyone's like, oh, he's going to play Lobo. I would say that James Gunn's knowing, no, we're going to finish your Aquaman trilogy. We're gonna finish that. We're gonna give you that Aquaman movie, and then maybe you'll be Logo. Who knows? Because why would you dump that? And I would even say this, John. As much as Wonder Woman 84 was, I hated it, and it obviously didn't do well. The first one did well. 800.
The first one was great.
If so, they didn't like Patty Jenkins, her take on it. But remember, she didn't even develop the first Aquaman. I mean, the first Wonder Woman. She stepped in and took over. So Gal Gadot, people like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Maybe they have plans to do it.
They?
Well, I mean, I would say the first one was
majority.
But I would say I would say, look, and also Peacemaker, you know they're getting that season 2. So in addition to the DC reboot will happen with Superman, as we know, James Gunn's writing it. But that reboot might come at the end of 2024 or even the beginning of 2025. They might just say reboot time is 2025. We're going to get another Aquaman in. We're going to get another Wonder Woman movie in. We're getting Peacemaker in. We might even make another Suicide Squad film in.
I can't see that happening.
I mean, I don't know if they're going to do all of it, but why would you get rid of Aquaman?
Because it's part of a bigger machine that's not working.
But that worked.
That one piece.
Aquaman, yes. So I'm saying that.
Do you pump the brakes on the entire operation that is not working because one piece is working? I don't know.
I mean, the same argument can be made for Henry Cavill because everybody, maybe Man of Steel itself. I mean, you and I both really love Man of Steel, right? Now,
all three of us love Man of Steel.
But the thing with Man of Steel, the difference with Henry Cavill is that even though that movie made, let's say, a disappointing $500 million, which is still a good number, by the ill will that from a lot of people from getting rid of him already, it has done. If you're gonna make a move like that, you got to make a move all in, because then people are going to go, well, wait a minute, you're keeping Aquaman, but you got rid of Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is a piece that was working. Maybe his movies in Batman and Superman, he didn't get a chance to shine in the way that he did, but Henry Cavill was working. Henry Cavill was the piece that was getting everyone excited. I still think that they could have done something inside of like a different timeline to bring him back. I understand. I'm with you, John, in the fact that I think that I'm really bummed that he's gone. I understand why they made the choice, but I still think they could have made it work, but they don't want to go in that direction. I think that's the same thing with Patty Jenkins and Aquaman and all that.
But I think the thing about the Aquaman movie made $1 billion. Regardless, it did well and made money. And a studio is not. See, the thing is, we have to think in these terms from only a business perspective, and none of the Henry Cavill movies ever achieved the kind of box office that they were expected to achieve ever. Right. And so it just becomes an academic argument. I love him. We all love Henry. We love Henry Cavill.
There's two sides of it too, though. There's also another side of this, that the rumors were inside, or more of even a report with Patty Jenkins when she came in and said, "Okay, here's the what I have," and they said, "Well, we're going in this particular direction, and can you make this work?" Whatever the conflicting reports are, but it looked like they were still willing to have a conversation with her at some point about doing the next movie. So maybe you're right. Maybe that could be a case in where they're saying to James Wan, "Hey, we want to take Aquaman in this direction. Do you think that you can make that work?" That's possible. I just think if you're going to make that move with Henry Cavill, and you already know, because if you see James Gunn's tweets, he knew this kind of thing. He knew this wave of backlash was coming. You got to be prepared for that because of how beloved Henry Cavill is. So if you're gonna do it, just brace for the hit. Now, I understand your argument with the box office, the money, but the other idea of that is to believe in the product that you have moving forward, saying, okay, yes, we have a movie that can make $1 billion. This one could as well. I don't think they're gonna go past because they had said after Aquaman is when their phase is gonna start. Mm-hmm. Now, I still think that it's a risk, because there are a lot of people going, why am I getting invested in these movies if they're not gonna have anything to do with this new DC movie? And I guess the argument can be made then, well, the Batman doesn't have anything to do with the DCU, so you go because you want to see the story that these creators were telling. But I understand also the other side of it, of people going, but I'm not being rewarded anymore. I thought I was being rewarded by seeing by being attached to these characters because I want to see where they're going to go next. If they leave me with this cliffhanger at the end of this thing, where am I going? I get that. I understand that. So it's a very tricky situation that they're in right now.
But it's only a tricky situation for a very small percentage of the audience, because most moviegoers don't care.
I agree with you. Yeah, but,
loud voices. That's the point, though. Exactly, Rob. Most moviegoers have not bought into the DCU as it is, and I don't know. I mean, I've been singing this song for a while. I don't know that you can go, well, if the whole thing is a sick donkey, you put the donkey down. You don't go, well, you know what? Its liver still works really well. And I think you're talking about it's about business, right?
Aquaman's not sick.
Well, here's the problem, but it's a part of a larger organism that is.
Right.
Are you holding back good business by trying to hold on to one small piece? Because one $1 billion film is not equivalent to 4 $800 million films. You know what I mean? And I think if you are going to hurt your relaunch by trying to keep, and you bring up a great point, you get rid of Henry Cavill, my boy, but you keep Jason Momoa? I mean, that becomes very problematic for them.
What about Shazam?
Yeah, well, Shazam's gone too.
Right. But here's the thing. There's only
just quickly though, because we got to move on.
There's only one Aquaman movie, and it made $1 billion.
Yeah, the next one won't.
But
the next one won't.
How do you know? What if it's great?
The audience was not as. I mean, of course. Fucking Peppa the Pig movie could make $1 billion.
Hey, Peppa. My kids love Peppa.
I'm just saying, like, how do you know? Well, we don't. But look, odds are. Is anybody willing to put $1,000 right now that the next? Now remember, I completely didn't believe the first Aquaman movie would make $1 billion, and it did. So keep that.
I'm willing to bet the next Aquaman movie will make $1 billion. There's no reason to think it won't.
Everybody loves jumping in muddy puddles.
It was not as well. Like, it made $1 billion, but it wasn't super well received.
Chris is checked out.
It wasn't super well received.
Anyway, I think $1 billion proves that it was.
Transformers movie made $1 billion. It was not super well received. So no, it doesn't prove that
it wasn't super well received among the fans.
You and I liked it. You and I liked
loved Aquaman.
A lot of people did, but I don't think the next one's going to make $1 billion.
Are you going to see Peppa Pig in the theaters?
No.
All right. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. James Gunn's tweet here raises the question again. What kind of obviously we're getting some kind of restart. But what kind of a restart? Will it be a full-blown page one blank slate restart? Will it be a pseudo restart where certain pieces get left in place? Do they still try to function and utilize and leverage, say, a Flashpoint movie to do such a soft reboot? Oh, I mean, there's still a lot of big questions in the air. What do you think is going to be happening here? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top here, shall we? And that one is this. You know, we're getting close now to 2023. So, of course, the season is here. We're going to see, we're already starting to see it, and you're going to see a lot. All the online movie pundits, including us next week, are going to be putting together their most anticipated films of 2023 list. Well, one of the major hubs for movie fans, Fandango, the place where most Americans go to get their movie tickets, has just done a survey amongst their viewership and their readers as to what are the indeed most anticipated movies of 2023 according to their readers. And the results in some places are a little predictable, but in other places are actually kind of surprising to me. So let's go over to the classroom here and take a look at the results of what they had as their most anticipated. Okay, we're going to start at number 10. Number 10 is actually the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I'm getting kind of excited to see this. I honestly didn't think a lot of other people were going to be excited to see it, but as of right now, it is the number 10 most anticipated according to this thing. At number 9, Creed 3 is, according to this list, the number 9 most anticipated movie. Of course, the first 2 Creed movies did not make tons of money, but they were good. They were good movies.
List, John. This is Ray's list.
What's that? This is your list. It's the Fandango / Ray Orr list. All right. At number 8, let's see if it continues. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, according to the list, is the 8th most anticipated film. We were just talking about that a lot yesterday, and we're going to be talking more about it in the days to come. Coming in at number 6, speaking of the... What's that? Oh, sorry. Coming in at number 7. Thank you. Oh, wait. I did that wrong then. I'm sorry. I did this wrong. Number 8 was not Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible was actually number 9. The real number 8... is number 7. The real number 8 is Hunger Games. Oh, nice. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which tells me that, hey, you know what? A lot of us underestimate just how many fans and people loved Hunger Games and are indeed excited about it, because apparently they're more excited for it than Creed 3 or Super Mario Brothers, but still, there you go. So number 7 is Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. That's there. Okay, now we get into number 6. At number 6, speaking of conversations we were just having, we've got Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is the number 6 most anticipated movie of the year. Yeah. That, of course, is coming out on Christmas Day in 2023. That takes up the number 6 spot. Okay. At number 5, as I just try to copy and paste this, I'm having a hard time here. At number 5, I just watched the trailer for the first time. I just watched the trailer on the big screen. Seen the trailer right, but never saw it on the big screen. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, number 5. By the way, the theater I was in watching Avatar yesterday, audience went nuts when the Indiana Jones trailer played. Yeah. They went absolutely crazy. All right. Now we're in the top 5 here, and we go into number 4, and I love this. John Wick, Chapter 4.
Awesome.
It's, it's so funny seeing, the first movie this franchise made a couple $100 million. For it now to be like listed in the most anticipated over films like Indiana Jones, Aquaman, Mission Impossible, Creed, Mario Brothers. That's pretty damn cool. So John Wick, Chapter 4 is our number 4 most anticipated movie of the year. Okay, now into the top 3. I think we got a good sense of what's in there, but what order? Well, at number 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. According to the Fandango survey, where movie ticket buyers go, that is their number 3 most anticipated film of the year. At number 2, my God, I love this. I love this. I'm so happy to see this. That's not the... oh, yeah, it is. Number 2, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Wow. At number 2, I am so thrilled about that people understand the goodness that is the Spider-Verse, this animated world that I crapped on for well over a year before the movie came out. And then I saw it and I'm like, oh my God. It was so good. I'm so happy.
Was it, oh my God, or oh my God?
No, it was, oh my God. I'm so happy to see that all the way up at number 2. And then according to the Fandango ticket buyers list, the most anticipated movie of 2023 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Wow.
So, again, now remember, this is not our list. This is the list accumulated by Fandango, the place where America goes to buy their movie tickets and their readers. So, again, number 10, we got Super Mario Brothers. At number 9, Creed 3. At number 8, Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm surprised to see it on the list, but I think we underestimate how many fans that thing has. At number 7, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning. At number 6, Aquaman and the Last Kingdom. At number 5, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. At number 4, John Wick Chapter 4. At number 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. At number 2, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I'm still so tickled that's so high up. And number 1, it's James Gunn's world. We're living in it. It's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, Rob, let's go over to you first here. I mean, for me, seeing Hunger Games on this list is surprising to me. I knew it would still have some people to get excited about, but at number 8, did not see that coming. Really excited to see Creed on there. Again, neither of the first 2 movies made a whole ton of money. So, but I really like those films to see it on that list. I think seeing Spider-Verse at number 2 is a very pleasant surprise to me. Guardians of the Galaxy would be number 1 is a bit of a surprise. I don't know. You saw this list. What's standing out to you? And is there anything missing, obviously missing for you?
I don't know if I buy this list.
Yeah.
I think this list is first of all, the Hunger Games prequel, we've not seen a trailer for it. Like
they put out some like 1 or 2 little teasers.
Yeah, they like little teasers, but I still don't see people. I mean, the book certainly wasn't the runaway bestseller that the Hunger Games books were. I think that I think this might be, I don't know. To me, I think Indiana Jones should be higher up on this list than it is. Although we've seen these trailers, like all 3 of these trailers, 1, 2, and 3, these are trailers that are in the theaters now that people are seeing. So it's on the, it's on people's minds. I'd be curious to see the other ones. Like again, Creed has a trailer out. Mission Impossible has a trailer out. Indiana Jones has a trailer out. Mario Brothers has a trailer out, which, by the way, in the theater, it's even more impressive than watching it online.
They played it in front of Avatar
right?
too. That looked great.
It does. You're looking like I have no real affection. I love Mario, but I don't. It's not in my. But I watched that trailer on the big screen. I'm like, oh, I'll go see that. You know. So I do think there's all of these movies I believe should be on this list. I just don't know about their rankings.
It lost me at no Dune. There's no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It lost me at no Dune.
Yeah. 100%. That's the most.
I wonder if a lot of people even remember that's coming out this year.
They don't.
Yeah, that's and maybe because of what Rob just said with the trailer, which is I think he's right on the money with. But like I also think it's a matter of when you're voting on it, when you're buying tickets, and Rob's 100% right. You see these trailers, ones that are in the zeitgeist, the ones that people are talking about. I think that these all are highly anticipated, but I think there's a lot of movies out there that are coming out that, as you said, maybe people don't even realize. Dune was for what Dune did in the time that it did, and also being able to pull the box office while it was still HBO Max the same day, and still pulled box office and was able to.
They won the most Academy Awards of any film
absolutely
that year.
It did.
And more people have been seeing it on cable.
It's fantastic. That movie is so good, and I cannot wait for the second one. That is Indiana Jones and Dune are probably like for me my 1 and 2. And it has nothing to do with like a Marvel fatigue or anything like that too. But like I get to this point, we're spoiled that we always know we got the Marvel movies coming out, and I'm excited to see them. And I think maybe because I was let down so much by Doctor Strange and Thor that I'm like, okay, you're hit and miss right now. Maybe they get back together. I am looking forward to those movies, but for me, it's Dune, and it's Indiana Jones. Those are the two and John Wick. Those are
John Wick, huge. When you look at this list too, this is the reason I can. After I was a little bit surprised by the look, I thought, okay, well, this is a lot of the general movie going on. This isn't the hardcore people who watch the Christian Harloff show or the John Campea show, hardcore, movie fans. This is the people who make up 95% of the audience, the general audience. Go to Fandango. These are some very populous titles, Mario Brothers, Hunger Games, Indiana Jones. Although I can understand Indiana Jones being a little bit lower on this list because It's been a long time,
Right.
and the last one was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yes, you got to get new. This is going to be where the generations are going to start catching up on the movies, right? They're going to. Are they even on Disney Plus yet? The Indiana Jones movies.
I don't know.
I
That's
know
a good
they were
question.
on Netflix for a bit. I don't know if they're. I don't know if that deal expired, but
I thought they were on Paramount Plus for a bit. I could be
I
wrong.
think you're
about
probably right, but I think that what's going to happen in what should happen if because a lot of parents are going to be going to see this movie.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of parents. So I know I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to take my 11-year-old. I'm going to make sure that she watches all the Indiana Jones before I take her to see the new one, and I think that will happen. And whether or not the new generation catches on, we'll see.
I got a question for both of you. Opening of Indiana Jones, mountain, or are we going to see a Disney castle?
Don't steal my idea. I
Yeah.
told you that idea.
No, I mean, was that you who came up with that? I
Yes.
remember somebody brought it up on the show the other
I'm
day.
just kidding, Rob. You can steal it.
But I think
No, I
you're
wasn't.
right.
I was just asking.
Yeah, it's not going to be obviously it's not going to be the Paramount Mountain, but it's some kind of German castle.
Yeah, it'll
or
probably be
Because there is that castle we've seen in the trailer.
well, he's going in to look at the tapestries.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
It'll probably be
it's-
the flashback of when it starts with him in the castle. I think 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this list accumulated by the people who go to the Fandango website? They're calling Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. By the way, don't forget, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special just came out, which was ludicrously good, and that might have had something to do with the anticipation level. But Guardians 3 right now, listed as the most anticipated film of the year by general moviegoers. What do you guys think? Of course, we're going to do our list next week. Whatever your thoughts are on this list, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move into our Mint Mobile hotline questions of the day. If you guys have a question you'd like for the show and you'd like to hear your voice on the show, go ahead and call our hotline number at 951-268-4259 anytime, day or night, and you just might hear it on here. So our first question today actually comes to us from Taylor's dad.
Hi, this is Andy from Kansas City. My little son is just dying to see Puss in Boots Part 2. If it's a big box office success, do you guys think that we will finally get a Shrek sequel? I'd like to know what you think. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And we got Taylor over there having daddy issues now.
What do you mean if Puss in Boots is a big success?
Well,
Why is there any doubt?
we'll see, because it's coming out in theaters with Avatar being pretty streaky right now. But still, let's go over to my screen here for a second, Jonathan. Puss in Boots, look at these numbers. If you had told me 6 months ago, Puss in Boots 2 is going to have a 96 critic rating and a 98 audience rating. Now, granted, there's still a lot more to come, but that is pretty ridiculous. And I remember, look, I hate cats. They're good for ground fill or whatever, but I'm not a big fan of cats. But I saw this trailer and I was, damn it, a movie about a cat is one of my most excited things going to go see right now. Because I thought the trailer for Puss in Boots looked absolutely incredible. And then, Christian, you saw it.
Yeah.
Taylor saw it.
Yeah.
Of course, Taylor's biased. The director came up to him and recognized him.
Oh, hilarious.
Yeah, so yeah.
That was
so
after he saw the movie.
But that was after he saw the movie, yes. So, I mean, the people who I know have seen it have absolutely adored it and loved it. I'm dying to see this thing. So it brings up the question. Let's say it's really successful. How successful it can be, that's up for debate. But let's say this movie, I don't know, makes 500 million, 600 million, which I don't know if it can, but let's say it does. The Puss in Boots character is a spinoff of the Shrek series. I'm not going to lie to you. I've kind of been missing Shrek a little bit. It's been a beat since we had Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, all come back. Cameron Diaz is apparently back in acting now. She's doing a new movie with Jamie Foxx. So, I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. If Puss in Boots goes north of 475, we will see another Shrek movie. That's going to be my prediction right now. If it goes, I mean, maybe even if it stays south of 475, but if it makes 475 at the box office or more, I'm going to say, I think we are going to get another Shrek movie. Christian, I mean, you saw the film.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Could there be any connection here? Like if this does well, or do you think it's irrelevant? What do you think?
I do think it's irrelevant because, and I'll get to that in a second, but one of the things, and I wonder if Taylor agrees also, I think that one of the reasons that Spider-Verse stood out so much when it came out was the unique animation style, the way that and Puss in Boots plays in that. It's not the same type of animation. It certainly dabbles in that, but they do some more really unique animation, which is what caught my eye. It's a beautiful looking animated film, and it's also got a lot of heart, and it's funny, and I think that's why it works. So I think that, but as far as the question with Shrek, That's a question for Mike Myers. I think it's going to come down to. It's a matter of whether or not he wants to do it or not. And you back up a big enough truck of money. But that then goes into your question, John. Is like, is it worth it for the studio? Well, okay, well, people are going to see Shrek. Maybe there's still or Puss in Boots rather. Is there still a need for these characters? Maybe it is. Maybe it's worth offering Mike Myers a little bit more money to do this, and whether or not he wants to do it, because they need the franchises. They want to do it, and it. One more because I'll tell you what, it's still relevant. I just went to Universal Studios with my daughter for her birthday. We took some friends and they have that donkey out there, and
that guy's really funny.
He's hilarious, but it's super, and everybody's lined around. So they haven't had a new Shrek movie in years, and there's people lined around watching the characters hit. And if it's funny and it works, I would like to see one again. Also, I think people would still want to see Shrek.
Rob, do you think if Puss in Boots is a huge hit, that ups the chances of another Shrek film?
Yes. And look, I have to tell you, one of my favorite things toward the end of this year is the trailer for the new Jonah Hill movie that Eddie Murphy's in called You People. Have you seen this trailer?
I have not seen this trailer.
I saw it.
Eddie Murphy plays a very serious father, slays. It's just a scene with Jonah Hill talking to this married couple, and Jonah Hill's marrying their daughter.
They're at Roscoe's.
Are they Roscoe's?
Yeah, they're at Roscoe's.
Yeah.
He's white and their daughter's black. And Eddie Murphy in this little bit, he's never played a role where he's been serious. I've watched that trailer, I swear to God,
really
25 times just to watch Eddie Murphy's. I mean, to bring back the cast of Shrek, to get Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy's had a renaissance. Bring everybody back. And with Antonio Banderas, look, we were talking about this trailer for 6 months.
Yeah.
Antonio Banderas looks like, well, you've seen it. I mean, just watching the trailer, I didn't have a particular interest in seeing this movie.
Neither did I.
But the trailer was so good. Antonio Banderas' performance was so good. I'm like, and I like cats. And I'm like, the idea behind this, he only has one life left. That's a genius idea. The world wants to see a Shrek movie again. Exemplified by that man over there. I mean, people love Shrek.
Well, I mean, let's ask you, Taylor, because you're the other person in the room who's actually seen Puss in Boots. So you saw an audience's reaction, all that kind of stuff. If this movie's successful, do you think I mean, obviously we know what you want. Look at you. But I mean, do you think the success could?
Hey, yo!
We want to introduce you to the most amazing destinations in the world.
Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. It's young,
Sunny,
colorful,
diverse, and above all,
it's incredibly tasty.
Tel Aviv beaches are the best.
Tel Aviv and Jerusalem have the most amazing nightlife.
Jerusalem, the heart of the world. A spiritual adventure with 3,000 years of amazing history. See you here soon.
We love you. Tel Aviv, Jerusalem.
Book your trip now.
Spark interest in another Shrek film.
Oh, 100%. First of all, Dad, you can call into the show and ask about Shrek, but you can't pay child support for 18 years. I'm coming for you. But Puss in Boots is going to break all the records. Pinocchio was my favorite animated film of the year until I saw this. It's going to blow everyone away. The animation style is like a fairy tale painting just come to life. The color palette, I've never seen an animated, it is very much like Into the Spider-Verse. It's just something so unique and different. It's going to change the game. As far as Shrek, I'm not going to give anything away, but I will say it does set up some interesting stuff moving forward. And I think the hope is there will be a Shrek 5. I hope, Ray hopes.
Ray hopes. I was dragging Ray into it.
But I really know he's here. This is what we get out of this. Also, just for people on Puss Watch, Twas the night before Puss. We are 24 hours away from release. So
now Ray's paying attention. Now Ray's like, Puss Watch. What?
One day.
One day.
All right.
I can't wait.
All right, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Have you thought that
more advertisers?
Have you thought that the Puss in Boots tour looks good? Are you interested in the film? I'm shockingly interested. I can't wait to see this. But do you think if it's successful, let's say north of 475, do you think that increases the chances of another Shrek film? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we're going to do one more call from our Mint Mobile hotline, shall we? What one is up next, Jonathan?
Hi, John and crew. This is Daniel from Arkansas. Last year, you did a video on the 2021 comic book movies of the year. I was wondering, what is your 2022 comic book movies of the year? Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And you know what? It is Tuesday. So it's time for a top 5 Tuesday anyway. And so you call in at a really opportune time. You know, we were talking the other day on the show, Chris, about 2022, not the finest year of comic book films.
No.
Certainly had some good stuff out there, but I mean, you look back at like 2018, 2016, you look at certain years where it's just like, we were so, what is it you call it, Rob? An embarrassment of riches.
Embarrassment of riches.
For a lot of years. This, not one of the stronger years. So it makes it a little more tricky to put together a top 5 best comic book movies of the year, but that's what we're going to endeavor to do right now. Now, I should let you guys know that I decided that we would not let the special presentations qualify. Now, we're talking about the 2 special presentations, Werewolf by Night, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Holiday Special. These were both under an hour long. They're not really feature films. Now, if they were on this list, I'll tell you right now, I put up a tweet about this. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special would be my number 2 of the year, and Werewolf by Night would be my number 3. But we are not putting those on the list. So let's go back over to the classroom here, shall we? And we'll go down. We'll start with mine. All right, coming in at number 5, I'm going to say Black Adam. This is a movie we've talked about a lot that I clearly had problems with. I had some issues with, some terrible dialogue, some useless characters, some unbelievable logic leaps. But you know what? There was a lot of grinning, a lot of laughing, some fun. I still had a good time with it. So I'm going to say Black Adam comes in at my number 5 spot. Coming in at number 4, God, I can't believe I'm going to do this. Super Pets. Super Pets, with which, you know, Ray and Ann pretty much dragged me to go see. They kind of made me go see. And look at that smug look on Ray's face. Ray's saying, no, man, it's going to be good. And I got to tell you, I have to admit, I was poo-pooing on this movie, but I came out of it going, and Ray's like, come on, John, come on, come on. I'm like, all right, it was good. It's a good movie.
And it was so short.
And it was
pretty
pretty
a
short.
bad movie, at least be short. I mean,
that's Ray's number 1 criteria for a movie, is it short? But I had to come out and go, okay, you know what? Yes, I thought it was pretty good. Not great, not my favorite animated film of the year or anything, but I like Super Pets. So I get it. It gives it the number 4 spot. All right. Coming in at number 3 for me, Doctor Strange 2. This is a movie that I think most people agree did not live up to its potential. Especially coming off the brilliance that was Doctor Strange 1. But it was still packed with some really cool things that I enjoyed. I liked a number of the new characters. I still think right now that, take away even all the weaknesses of Multiverse Madness, and there are plenty, I still think the basic storyline of Wanda Maximoff, from her first appearance in the MCU through WandaVision into Doctor Strange 2, is one of the best individual storylines the MCU's ever done. And so even though I had problems with it, Doctor Strange 2 gets the number 3 spot on my list. All right. Now we get into the top 2, and I'm going to say at number 2, Wakanda Forever. Again, this is a movie that to me did not live up to its potential. But I still thought this was a good, solid film. Some really good heart and emotion. They do some head scratcher things in it that I didn't think make it a lot of narrative sense. But overall, especially when you're talking about Angela Bassett, who is going to get an Academy Award nomination for this movie. Absolutely, I think she will, and it's well deserved. But overall, it's a solid film. Doesn't live up to the first one, but I still thought pretty damn solid. So it is my number 2. No surprises here. The Batman is the best comic book movie of the year. And for me, spoiler alert, when we do our top 10 next week of the year, the Batman's going to be on my top 10 of the year list. I went back and watched this again about a month and a half ago, and I was still floored by the narrative pacing. It is over long. It could have been about 10, 11, 12 minutes shorter, I think. But still, the flow of the narrative was solid. The way they built this new world. Gotham, you've heard other people say about this, about other Batman iterations, but Gotham felt like a living, breathing character in this movie. And I love that. And Paul Dano, between this and his performance in Fabelmans, oh my God. If you're somebody who comes out and says, this is the year of Paul Dano, I don't know that I have an argument to fight against you about that, because this is Paul Dano putting himself on the map this year. The character of the Penguin is making me die to see Colin Farrell's Penguin series, especially with his performance in Banshees of Inisherin. Spoiler alert, also going to be my top 10 of the year. But the Batman, again, one of the best movies of the year, period, to me. and the one truly, I think, remarkable comic book film of the year. So that is my list. Again, for me, it's number 5, Black Adam, number 4, Super Pets, number 3, Doctor Strange 2, number 2, Wakanda Forever, and number 1, The Batman. So that's my list. Rob, let's go over to you.
My list is exactly the same as yours, but I would flip Black Adam and Super Pets.
That minor of a change.
Yeah, because and for the reasons that you said, I thought that the Batman is, for me, by far the best comic book movie of the year. And I've watched it since I've had the 4K disc. I watched it over this past weekend. It's a phenomenally well-made movie. It's so cinematic. It's so beautifully done. It shoots a lot higher. I mean, my only thing I really liked Wakanda Forever. I thought Wakanda Forever was really ambitious. You know what really bothers me now, when you are comparing and contrasting the Batman and Marvel movies? The fact that so many of the Marvel movies now are shot against green screens. Not the volume, but we're watching backgrounds and things that are all computer generated. It's got this color palette that's beginning to get on my nerves. and you see it a lot in Thor: Love and Thunder. It was like, enough. And you see it in Quantumania. And it used to work, but it's not evolving. When you watch the Batman, it's like, okay, we're on a real street and it's really raining.
Well,
and when we go into
in their defense, the Batman takes place in Gotham City.
No,
whereas,
I know.
a Thor: Love and Thunder takes place in the city of the gods.
Even Wakanda, when you're watching Wakanda Forever, when they went down to Puerto Rico, and like you see, it's like, wow, how refreshing. We're actually in an outdoor, real environment. Like at the end when Shuri is talking to Lupita Nyong'o and meets. Sorry, wait. They're having a conversation. It's almost done. Anyway, but they're outside, and they're outside, and I think it really helps from a cinematography standpoint, from a believability standpoint. The more you're outside, I think that Marvel really needs to sort of get back and figure out how to use practical locations for their movies.
Well, but some stories lend themselves to that.
I'm not saying that
when they go, you can't go to Puerto Rico to shoot the quantum realm.
No, well, they're starting to do that with look at Andor. And they just made the announcement that Acolyte is going to be doing real
a lot of that too.
Also,
yeah, which is exciting to see.
And I think that Thor did use a lot of the volume, by the way.
Way too much of the volume.
Yeah, sure.
And the thing is, but I do think that I like that, and
well, let's stick on the topic of the top 5 movies of
anyway
the year.
So the Batman by far, Wakanda Forever, I thought Wakanda Forever was hugely ambitious for the most part, and I really liked Wakanda Forever a lot more, I think, than most people did.
So just a little swapperoo of Super Pets and Black Adam.
Yeah, and what you said about Doctor Strange, again, a movie that I have reassessed since I've owned it and watched it. What you said about how it's an extension of what we saw in WandaVision, I think it actually, I watched WandaVision again and then watched Doctor Strange, and I think it works better. The thing about Doctor Strange is we were all waiting to see the Illuminati and all these cameos, but once you move away from the cameos and watch the story at hand, I think it works better, and it works really well in tandem watching WandaVision. And Black Adam, look, Super Pets was not my jam, but ultimately I did find it pretty entertaining. But like you said, Black Adam was so hit and miss, like the stuff with the kid, but I loved seeing the Justice Society. I loved it.
Noah Centineo, the whole Justice Hawkman,
yes,
Dr. Fate, that all worked really
well.
well.
Noah Centineo, by the way, is great in The Recruit.
I still haven't watched that yet. I want to watch it. It looks really good.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. But Dr. Fate alone and Hawkman, if that's all we got, a half an hour of them, I would have put it at my number 4 position.
All right, Christian, let's go over to you. So again, we got our list is here, and Rob's and mine are pretty identical, so I'm not going to move anything around, but he's got Super Pets at 5 and Black Adam at 4. What does your list look like?
I have a controversial list, John. So, and again, just reminding that, again, it comes to enjoyment, because I know that certain films are definitely more well-made than others. For example, my number 5 is Doctor Strange 2. And I know that it's probably going to be better made, and it is better made than some of the other films on my list. But enjoyment-wise, now I have to say what Rob said. I'm doing a rewatch with my daughter right now. We're on
of WandaVision,
of the MCU.
Oh, the MCU.
So
nice.
right now, well, she's watching it for the first time, and right now we're on Ant-Man 2. So we're approaching, Phase 4, and I'll be looking forward to seeing Doctor Strange to see if I can pick up what Rob just said. But still, it was more of a Sam Raimi movie for me. I've always been a I appreciate him, but I'm just not a Sam Raimi head the way a lot of other people are. So that was number 5 for me. Number 4 is actually Black Adam for me, because Black Adam I thought was a lot of fun. I agree with every single person that said that it's generic, that it's you've seen it a million times over, but for all the reasons that Rob just mentioned and you mentioned, I got a kick out of it. I liked seeing those characters. I thought Dr. Fate was awesome, and I'm looking forward to watching it again. Right now, call me a sap and call me a dad, but number 3 is Super Pets for me, because the first time I enjoyed it, the first time I saw it, I really enjoyed it, and I was just kind of like you, John, going, I don't know what this movie is going to be about at all. And I watched it, and I was like, that was really cute. And then I watched it with my 5-year-old, and she loved it and was laughing. So
I watched it with my 5-year-old too, Ray.
Ray, yeah, exactly. So that's who I was talking about as well. But either way, it was just it was a nice feel to watch it with my daughter. And so number 2, just like everybody else here, it's Wakanda Forever, where I think we've all talked about it at length, what Ryan Coogler was able to accomplish in the switch so fast and make such a really good movie. I liked it, didn't love it, but I appreciate what they had to do and what they had to endure and the emotion that was behind it. And number 1, I know, call me nuts, Morbius. No, I'm just kidding. No, wow. Totally kidding.
That would be awesome if you really
Morbius.
That would be the hot take of the day.
Would be the hot take. No, the Batman. I mean, there's no arguing against it. That movie it's fantastic. It is a couple minutes too long. That's fine. Overall, I can't wait for it again. I love the David Fincher vibe. Paul Dano is out of control good. So is Colin Farrell, unrecognizable. Robert Pattinson, Andy Serkis. It's just it's a gem.
The cast crushes in that movie.
Oh yeah, they absolutely do. So again, I mean, all 3 of our lists have the exact same 5 movies. The 2 big, obviously the big losers, the 2 big major motion picture comic book movies that didn't make either of our list was Thor: Love and Thunder or Morbius.
And Morbius to me is an easier pill to swallow on a rewatch. It's only an hour and 25 minutes or an hour and 30 minutes, and it just
that is short, isn't it?
At least it's a movie that is a movie and not a comedy.
You know what? In defense of Morbius, I try to find the silver lining here. They did a couple of interesting things, some visual stylistic things, like his quote unquote super speed, the way they visually kind of manifested his speed. They did some interesting things, but it's almost like it's almost like a VFX artist came and said, like, what if we did this with the character like Morbius? Cool, let's make a movie around that. And it ended up being what it is. Anyway, I guess, once again, if we were including the special presentation stuff on Disney Plus, I would have had Werewolf by Night and the holiday special in there. But there you go, our 5 movies. They're all basically 1 and 2 is all the same, and then just a slight reorganizing of the 3, 4, and 5, but they're the same films. Doctor Strange 2, Black Adam, and Super Pets all there. Guys, the question is for you. How would you rank the 2022 comic book movies that are out there? Whatever you guys think, go on ahead and jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, guys, we can take down that screen now, Jonathan. With that down, we're going to take a break here, guys, before we get into our main topics, and thank a couple of the sponsors of the John Campea Show here. The first couple of sponsors are all about taking care of the nether regions, ladies and gentlemen. Our good friends at MeUndies and I almost said Masterclass. Again, Manscaped.
The holidays are officially upon us, and it's time to start celebrating. Do your thing and holiday your way with MeUndies, because it's the most wonderful time of the year to try MeUndies, because they're currently offering a very merry deal. Get 20% off your first purchase with free standard shipping and free returns when you go to MeUndies.com/Campea. Guys, you know I've been wearing MeUndies for a while now, because I used to be like everybody else. I would go to the big store, buy the biggest box of the most generic underwear, and I thought that was good enough. But ever since I started MeUndies and started wearing wearing the most comfortable underwear I have ever worn in my life. I swear on this Christmas season, I will never go back. So get your holiday shopping finished early and start making time for yourself with the new MeUndies holiday collection. Their undies, long underwear, and sleepwear are made out of the softest, most supple fabric you've ever felt and are guaranteed to bring you comfort and joy to all of your loved ones. Shop their classic plaid prints for a traditional, picture-perfect style, or get festive with their adventurous limited edition sweater prints. Available in sizes extra small all the way through 4XL, MeUndies has what you need to make all of your favorite people smile this holiday season, all in one convenient place. So to get 20% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/Campia. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Manscaped. This holiday season, I'll be giving thanks to our friends over at Manscaped. Everyone loves turkey and stuffing, but you'll be looking like dessert with the help of Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have blessed you with the ultimate Thanksgiving dinner topic. Tell your in-laws about your new cutting-edge ball trimmer and gift yourself or the man in your life the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Trim up your pumpkins by going to manscaped.com and use the code CAMPIA for free shipping and 20% off. And this year I am so thankful for Manscaped because, like most of you guys, I used to use Neanderthalic Dark Age methods to trim my balls. Not anymore, thanks to Manscaped. It's time for all of us to give thanks to Manscaped Performance Package 4.0, or as I like to call it, the perfect package for your package. Inside, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. The heart of the package, their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code CAMPIA at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the promo code CAMPIA. Be thankful this holiday season for the best gift of all from Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.
And thank you to both of our friends at MeUndies and Manscaped for sponsoring this episode of the John Campia Show. All right, guys. With that all down, let's move now into our main topics here today. And how do we select our main topics? Well, that's simple. That's where we need you guys, because you guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we absolutely must cover as a main topic on the show, just go anytime 24/7 to www.thejohncampiashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campia Show. That down, Rob. What is our first main topic today?
John, our first main topic comes to us from Christian Horn. Greetings and salutations, crew. Thank you for the 1923 podcast,
Well,
guys.
at least one person listened to it.
I know, right? Love listening to it tonight right after I finished watching the premiere. Speaking of which, did you see that 1923 absolutely destroyed the Paramount viewership record and claimed the #1 premiere for cable television in 2022? What do you think of these numbers, and how much more can they expand the Yellowstone universe?
All right, Christian, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, look, you guys know I think Yellowstone is the best show on TV. And we were really excited about 1923. Harrison Ford, Helen Mirren. We watch it. For those of you who don't know, Rob and I recorded the first episode of our 1923 after show, which is an exclusive to our podcast feed on After Show. So just go and search for the After Show, a John Campia podcast. Go find it, subscribe to it today. There it is for you. And of course, our the newest one we just put up is 1923. So go and check that out. At any rate, so they launch it. How would people respond to it? Yellowstone, 1883, both very popular. Well, apparently the numbers were insane. This comes to us from the folks over at Deadline, who wrote the following. 1923, which released over the weekend, was Paramount Plus's most watched premiere ever in the US. The streamer announced Monday. Apparently, it wasn't even a close race, with 1923, get this, surpassing the previous record by nearly 80%. It eclipsed the debuts of such previous Paramount Plus breakouts as Halo, Sheridan's 1883, Mayor of Kingstown, and the one that just recently broke the record, Tulsa King. The Yellowstone universe continues to break records, with our latest chapter, 1923, scoring as the most watched premiere ever on Paramount Plus and debuting as the #1 new cable premiere of the year on linear, said Chris McCarthy, president, CEO of Paramount Media Networks and MTV Entertainment Studios. Taylor Sheridan continues to tap a cultural nerve that has proven irresistible to viewers from across the country and around the world, with this newest installment showing no signs of slowing down. All right. So, #1, I remember we talked about this like a month or so ago when Tulsa King debuted. Like, the numbers were crazy. I don't think any of us expect to see the kind of numbers that it got. That Paramount Plus then has 1923 come out that beats it by 80% is staggering. It shows absolutely there's a massive popularity with this Yellowstone universe. It also shows that people, well, we know people loved 1883. Those who watched it loved it, and they just can keep continuing this momentum. How many more can they do? Rob, you and I talked on the podcast last night. I fully expect that we are going, after 1923, we're going to get a 1963. And I think after 1963, we're going to get a 2003. And you're going to have Josh Lucas playing the younger Kevin Costner character in his own series. I mean, I think they have a way to go. Chris, I remember you were pointing out to me before the show started, Paramount Plus might as well just be recalled the Taylor Sheridan Network.
He's the king of the world.
He's carrying the whole damn thing. Anyway, you saw 1923. Yeah. You're seeing these numbers. What's your takeaway?
Well, I have a lot to take away from it. And people have asked, and we talked about it off air, is that I watched a couple episodes of Yellowstone, liked what I saw, but the problem with Yellowstone is it's so hard to find. It's all over the map. You got to find it on, it's on Paramount Plus. It should just be on Paramount Plus.
It should be. That's a big thing they got to change.
When it is, that's when I'm going to start, because I don't want to. I'm too lazy. I'm not going to go search all over the place for it. But the other one, the 1883, is that one I want to watch. I like Sam Elliott. But the reason why I think that both Tulsa King and this show are doing so well is because the movie star, even though we agree that the movie star these days don't sell tickets in the theater the way, doesn't mean that people still don't want to watch them.
Yeah.
And so perfect example for that is, this isn't necessarily a show that like my wife is going to be like, the premise of it. Let's watch it. But I said, there's a new show with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. She's like, oh, I love them. Let's watch it. She didn't even know what the hell it was about. She had seen Yellowstone, but didn't realize until we started watching, oh, this is connected to Yellowstone. That drives numbers because you're already paying for the service. And here are some people that you know very well. It's Harrison Ford. It's a movie star that this streaming thing and the changing that people can actually start. Sylvester Stallone, again, Sylvester Stallone, and he's on a streaming show, and you're watching it. It's amazing that a television show that you can spend time with them every week, as opposed to something like Samaritan, did okay, but a television show that you can invest in the character, that you can see him weekly. You can imagine, I said to my wife last night, can you imagine 10, 15 years ago going, Harrison Ford is on a television show? Julia Roberts is on a television show? You know, these movie stars that were never on it, you can do it now. They're invited and it's cinematic. You still associate them with the cinematic.
It is so cinematic.
It's cinematic. It doesn't feel like they've stepped down. It doesn't feel like they're on a sitcom now. They're on this. No, it feels like they're just in a larger movie that brings us it's in our house every week. So that's why I think, because the star power helped, the brand of Yellowstone and everything else too, I think helped. But I think the star power of Harrison Ford, Helen Mirren, that had a lot to do with it.
I think a lot of people see this image and think, this is the new movie coming out?
Right.
No, man, this is a new show.
100%.
It's crazy. Yeah. Rob, we obviously talked a lot last night about the debut of 1923, but now you're seeing these numbers. I expect it to be big because of what Christian pointed out, the star power. It's a Yellowstone series, but this big, I don't know what I was expecting. What's your takeaway?
Well, I think one of the things that Taylor Sheridan's doing is he's tapping into American iconography. I mean, the whole thing about the whole Yellowstone franchise now, the Yellowstone shared universe, is you're dealing with American history, American iconography, Old West, American values, what the country was built upon. And to a certain extent, the Kingstown show, the Tulsa King show, you're dealing with all of these very American, like American gangsters and, American crime thrillers and all that. And he's really tapping into all that, and at the same time he's giving us incredible, like, even remember Kevin Costner is a huge movie star too, and like you said, bringing in these movie star characters and giving you a show that is cinematic in nature, beautifully made. What people are feeling from these shows is top flight entertainment. Yep. And at the core of it all, you have authorship, you have the vision of a one man, a guy like Taylor Sheridan who's writing all these shows too. And so what you're getting is a point of view that I don't think you can get For instance, it's amazing to me to see Paramount talk about another franchise, the Star Trek franchise, can't get any traction in terms of viewership, not like this. And it's because...
So, Ray, you can reset the clock on the how long will it take Rob to make this about Star Trek?
Days without incident.
No, but I'm just saying it's another franchise. If you look at two contrasting stories on Paramount Plus, I think what Taylor Sheridan is doing here is working on a number of different levels. It's working on the fact that you're getting movie stars starring in these roles. You're getting great storytelling on a cinematic level, but you're also getting writing that's incredibly engaging, that is tapping into American mythology the way we haven't seen in a long time.
Can I make one more note here?
Yeah.
Is that the other thing too that I noticed that what Taylor Sheridan and Paramount Plus have done, the reason why Yellowstone is in the conversation all the time, 1883 is in the conversation all the time, week by week.
Yes.
It comes out,
Yes.
and people are talking about it, and people continue to talk about it. If this show would have dropped, and I was bummed there was only one episode, but I was happy there was only one episode. Because when it drops on one episode, I'm going, oh, I can't wait to do next week, because next week you're going to talk about it on your show. You're going to get more, people are going to be talking about it. If it all dropped last night, you guys would be raving about it today, and then people would be exhausted today watching it, whatever, like, and then talking about it for the next 2 or 3 days. Gone.
And then
Waiting
gone.
for the next one.
You know what else about 1923 that I was struck by watching it with Elizabeth? A strong female presence in terms of the female storylines and strong male presence. Elizabeth was riveted by the show as much as I was, because the Helen Mirren character and her storyline, she's playing a matriarch but a badass
Well,
mother.
Harrison Ford calls her character the boss.
The boss. And I mean, this is a show that appeals to both men and women. And that's why I think the numbers are up too.
Great
All right.
opening.
Yeah. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? 1923 has launched with a bang. Have you had a chance to check it out yet? If so, what did you think? Whatever you guys' thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right. With that down, let's get on to main topic number 2, shall we? Rob, what is our second main topic today?
John, our second main topic comes to us from Edison. We all know Hollywood paydays can be just crazy large, but $250 million for a movie? Apparently, that's what Matt Damon ended up turning down for the lead role in Avatar. I guess he was supposed to be Jake or something and was being offered 10% of the box office. He turned it down now and says he really regrets it, because with Avatar's huge box office success, who knew? His payday would have been north of $250 million for one movie. Should he have taken the role?
Well, hindsight is 2020. I mean, of course he should have taken it. Now, we're going to find out in a second he actually couldn't take the role. Look, I remember when we were talking about what Robert Downey Jr. actually ended up netting for one of the first Avengers movie, I think he ended up making like $50 million.
Yeah.
Which was like, that's mind-boggling. It's crazy. So James Cameron wanted Matt Damon, I guess, to be Jake. So in the first Avatar film, and nobody knew what that movie was going to do. They were going to try to break some ground. They're going to try to do something big, and they expected it to be good. And so they, being budget conscious, they went to him with points, and they offered him 10% first dollar. Well, Matt Damon couldn't. Let's go over here. This comes to us from the folks over at Joe Blow, who tell the story, and this is heartbreaking if you're Matt Damon, but I love the response from James Cameron as well. Consider that Avatar earned well over $2 billion, actually getting close to $3 billion now, worldwide, which would have netted Matt Damon more than $250 million for one movie in returns. I will go down in history, says Matt Damon. You will never meet an actor who turned down more money. That might be true, but one person who isn't laughing about the situation is Cameron. Cameron commented about Damon turning down the deal, saying he's beating himself up over this, adding, and I really think you know, Matt, you're kind of like one of the biggest movie stars in the world. Get over it. But he added to do another Bourne film. Which was on his runway, and there was nothing that we could do about that. So really, he couldn't have done anything about it. So he had to regretfully decline. When asked if Matt Damon could still...
Hey, yo!
We want to introduce you to the most amazing destinations in the world.
Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. It's young,
sunny,
colorful,
diverse, and above all,
it's incredibly tasty.
Tel Aviv beaches are the best.
Tel Aviv and Jerusalem have the most amazing nightlife.
Jerusalem, the heart of the world. A spiritual adventure with 3,000 years of amazing history. See you here soon.
We love you. Tel Aviv, Jerusalem.
Book your trip now.
Cameo in another Avatar sequel. Cameron said, must do it. We have to do it so that there is equilibrium in the world again, but he doesn't get 10%. Fuck that. So I love Cameron's response to that. Look, obviously, and you're asking the question, should Matt Damon have taken it? Well, it sounds like he actually couldn't, but obviously he wishes he had. Nobody thought that Avatar was going to be the first $2 billion film in history. And nobody would have offered him 10% had they thought it was going to come anywhere near that. But that is staggering. It's like, I still remember, Ann and I thought about buying Bitcoin when it was at like $1,000. We thought that's ridiculous. And then at one point it hit 60. I don't know where it is now. It's much lower than that. But, you think of those opportunities that you had, and I'm sure Matt Damon looked. Now, Matt Damon's doing fine. We don't have to worry about how Matt Damon is going to pay rent next month. But still, that's pretty staggering. Anyway, Christian, you see this story. What do you think about it?
So I saw the clip yesterday when he was talking about it also, and it was a little bit more than just the he had to turn it down because of Bourne, but it was a morality thing, right? He had committed, and he also said that James Cameron actually really respected the fact that he said that, and that's what that was inside the clip. Is he's like, look, I get it, I understand that you committed to a role, and we're bummed to not have you, but I completely understand, and I respect that. He lost out to more than $250 million.
Yeah,
because there's sequels. And who knows what his deal would have been, because if he got 10 on the first one and it did really well, he's like, I ain't coming back until I get some more
put it
points.
in the contract that says if there are sequels, I also get 8%.
He lost more than 250, but he knew it, he understood it, and that's just one of those things. And as I said, it's a bummer to say, hey, I could have had a more than $250 million in the bank, sure, but what are you going to do? He's Matt Damon, and he's doing all right for himself. But it's a bummer. But I love the answer, and I think that I'd love to see him show up in some more Avatar films for sure. That'd be great.
Now, I see some people asking a really good question in the live chat. So does that mean that Sam Worthington made $250 million for the thing? You got to understand, at that time, Matt Damon is one of the biggest stars in the world.
No one knew who Sam Worthington was.
Yeah, people knew Sam Worthington was, but they were not going to offer Sam Worthington 10%.
He wasn't a household name at that point. Yeah, that was right when Terminator.
Well, yeah, I was going to say he did Terminator.
Yeah,
but he wasn't on the same level as Matt Damon.
Close. Yeah, no.
Anyway, Rob, what do you think about this?
Well, I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda is that game we all play with ourselves, whether it's an old girlfriend or investments we should have made or something. However, I would say that, Matt Damon has had an incredibly diverse, rich career. He's been in Coen Brothers movies. He's been in Soderbergh's movies. He's been in the Bourne films. He's won himself an Oscar writing Good Will Hunting. He's had a terrific career.
Oh, awesome career.
Ridley Scott's The Martian, I think, is one of the great movies of the last 10 years. Wonderful actor, a great guy by all accounts. I love his career. It's a bummer that he didn't, get this payday. But then again, we wouldn't have the Bourne movies either. And I think the third Bourne movie is one of my favorite action films maybe ever.
Yeah.
Greengrass really pioneered, really got that technique down that no one's ever been able to duplicate. So, yeah, he can beat himself up all about it. But you know what? Why bother? Why play that game?
All right, guys. Question is for you. It looks like Matt Damon lost out on a $250+ million payday for one movie. I mean, coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Who knows? What's your takeaway from this? Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3 here, shall we? Rob, what is our third main topic?
John, our third main topic comes to us from Aiden G. Hey, John, I hear you guys often talk about how the last number of years have been pretty dry as far as comedies go. I thought 2022 had a few good ones, so I thought I'd ask what you thought the best comedy of 2022 was. For me, it was Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. What about you guys?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Aiden. And you're right, look, we were just talking a little bit earlier about how 2022 was definitely one of the weaker years and drier years for comic book films. But you're right, like the last 5-6 years ain't like it was in the really early 2000s, the late 19, where it felt like every year we had 5 or 6 like bomber comedies, like just really, really great comedies. The days of whether you're talking about Anchorman, or you're talking about 40-Year-Old Virgin, or you're talking about Wedding Crashers, like that sort of era. We don't have that anymore. No. And really good comedies are tough to come by. This year was no different, but there were a couple of standouts. So we're not going to do top 5s or anything like that. We're just going to mention what we think the best one are. I do want to give a couple of mentions, though. All right. Violent Night is a really good comedy. That's the new one with David Harbour playing Santa Claus. I saw it. I laughed significantly more than I thought I would. And I thought the trailers looked charming, but I laughed significantly more. It's a good, violent John Wick is Santa Claus kind of thing. So I dug that. You guys know that for most of the year, my number one film of the year is Everything Everywhere All at Once. So a lot of people are putting that on their comedy list. I don't it's funny. I don't consider it a comedy, even though it's funny. So it depends on how you define it. So I'm not going to mention Everything All at Once as being the best of the year. One that came really close for me being my best comedy of the year was Turning Red, which is still to me the best animated film of the year. I was really floored and pleasantly surprised by Turning Red. Again, super charming, great heart, really funny, the whole bit. But my personal, it comes down to me, and this surprised me. Even though I was excited about the movie, I did not think I would laugh as hard and as often as I did in this movie. My best comedy of 2022 is Weird, the Al Yankovic story. I remember I went to the LA premiere of it, and I'm sitting there with Anne, and we're in a pretty enthusiastic crowd. I was pretty excited to see a lot of Weird Al fans were there. And in the first 3 minutes, Anne was in tears. Like Anne was like literally, she had tears coming down her face. She was laughing so hard. And my stomach hurt by the end of the film. I laughed so hard. I just couldn't get over it. And I get it. I am I'm a big Weird Al fan. So I'm kind of, but what Daniel Radcliffe does in this movie is like, just makes me believe Radcliffe can do absolutely anything. Jack Black has a cameo in this, which was absolutely hilarious. So you know what? Not even by a very close margin, to me, the best comedy of the year, Weird, the Al Yankovic story. Anyway, Rob, we haven't had a year of great comedies for a while, but there were some gems. What are the comedies for you?
Not much. I mean, I have to say that Weird is easily my favorite comedy, but it's also my biggest regret of the year because I saw it at home by myself. I watched it, and I do not understand, John. I know it was made for Roku or whatever. I do not understand the metrics of why you didn't put this movie in a theater.
Laughing with an audience in this movie was so much fun.
This movie would have killed in the theater. And you saw it in the theater, and I could have gone. It was part of Beyond Fest. I was like, it looks funny. I didn't buy a ticket.
So you're listing as your favorite comedy of the year as well?
Bar none. It's my favorite comedy by a wide margin. I mean, I can't even think of anything else that I watched that I laughed or guffawed out loud at. I mean, this was, like you said, I was sitting in a room by myself. Elizabeth, nobody was home. The dogs were like, why are you? They'd never seen me. I was laughing so much. The dogs are like, are you okay, dude? Because they didn't even understand why I was laughing. Like laughing out loud. It's so good.
Christian, again, it's slim pickings. The last numbers you've been. What's your best comedy of the year?
I don't know. I barely have seen any of these comedies, and the ones that I have seen aren't that great. I guess the one with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum was pretty good. The one
Lost City, actually, I'm glad you brought that. Lost City was pretty good.
Yeah, I'd put that in there. Ticket to Paradise was terrible. Banshees, they say is a comedy. I don't know. The Banshees of Inisherin.
You know what? It took one of the things about seeing Banshees of Inisherin was it took me a while. I had to readjust my brain because I went in expecting comedy. They call it a comedy.
Yeah,
I can
There's
see you calling it
moments, but I mean
dark comedy.
Yeah, no.
I kind of liked Dog, but I wouldn't call it a
That's
comedy.
what they said. So Violent I didn't see. Amsterdam stinks. I never saw Bros. Ardo, no.
Bros, I saw. It was pretty good.
It was funny. I didn't see that. Turning Red, I didn't see. Spirited, I didn't see. Spirited, everybody talks about Spirited.
Yeah, Ann and I are waiting till Christmas Eve to watch it.
I see. Bad Guys anime. Yeah, I would have to say The Lost City, but that's the only comedy that I saw that I said I like this movie. Does Hustle count? If Hustle Hustle I thought was more of a drama, but if Hustle counts as a comedy, then Get Out of the Way. Hustle to me is one of my favorite movies of the year. So I would say Hustle.
I have to say, I watched a trailer this morning before work that made me laugh. It stars Richard Gere, Susan Sarandon, William Macy, and Diane Keaton. And that's an interesting cast. Right. And it's about a young couple that's getting married and their parents haven't met each other. And it turns out that their set of parents is each having affairs with the other parents.
Okay, I'm interested.
And I don't know what it's called. I don't remember what it's called, but it looks farcical. And with those actors, I laughed out loud at this trailer. William H. Macy has just watch the trailer. It's hilarious, dude. I thought it was, and we both, Elizabeth and I, laughed out loud at the last line of the trailer that William H. Macy says. It's pretty funny, and I'm like, well, it made me think, where's farcical comedies like this?
All right, guys. Question is for you. It wasn't exactly a rich year. By the way, I should have probably also brought up Jackass Forever because I actually laughed a lot. Ray not so much, but Jackass Forever. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What was your favorite comedy of the year? For me, by far, it was the Weird Al Yankovic story. There were a couple of other decent ones. What was the big one for you? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4, shall we? Rob, what is our fourth main topic today?
John, our fourth main topic comes to us from the Antagonistic Anonymous. Hey, crew. In an article by The Direct, Ant-Man 3 director Peyton Reed has explained how he's always felt that the previous Ant-Man films were palate cleansers after a gigantic event film like Avengers, and now wants Ant-Man 3 to be the big Avengers level film. John, I've been noticing from interviews of both Feige and Peyton Reed that they have been teasing this film as central to MCU and being Avengers level. So it's got me thinking about what can happen in this film. Major repercussions for the MCU, or perhaps a fantastic family is brought to the universe. What do you make of these statements, John?
All right, Antagonistic Anonymous, thanks for sending that in. And yeah, listen, I am a big fan of the Ant-Man films. I particularly loved the first one. And the Ant-Man films to me have represented the gear changes. You know, I talk about this a lot. You have the law of diminishing returns. You can't have every single movie in your cinematic universe being save the universe, save the universe, save the universe. Universe is a peril again. The world's going to blow up. You can't always go that. You got to bring it down, change gears. Every once in a while, you got to save the neighborhood community center. Every once in a while, you have to save the girl. Every once in a while, you got to save the guy. And Ant-Man was that to me. It was about a guy trying to save his family. And I love that. It was charming. It was fun. Ant-Man 2, I still really liked, not as much as the first one, but I had a very, very good time with it. So now we're heading into Ant-Man 3. And it's coming at a very interesting time in the history of the MCU, right? This transitioning into phase 5. Not a lot of people know what the overall story of the MCU is at and all that kind of stuff. But we got Kang. So what does that mean? Well, Peyton Reed is saying this is an Avengers kind of movie, not like one of the smaller ones. This comes to us from the folks over at Geek Tyrant who wrote this. In a recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, director Peyton Reed talked about how he was ready to make a meaningful Marvel movie in the same vein as one of the Avengers movies. People felt like, oh, these are fun little palate cleansers after a gigantic Avengers movie, talking about the other Ant-Man movies. For this third one, I said, I don't want to be the palate cleanser anymore. I want to be the big Avengers movie. When I asked if Reed kicked in Marvel bosses Kevin Feige's door when he decided to make this declaration, Reed said, I did. I metaphorically kicked in Kevin Feige's door. And you know what? I don't think Peyton Reed is wrong. And there's nothing wrong with the fact that the Ant-Man movies, to me, were palate cleansers. I think having those in there is a part of what makes the MCU, or has made the MCU, really wonderful. Is that it mixes it up, they vary it up. In MMA terminology, they change levels. I love that. And in that degree, I think the Ant-Man films have been incredibly valuable to the MCU and really fun. But going into this one, I've kind of mentioned this before, but I'll say it again, and I believe this wholeheartedly. This Ant-Man movie is going to be absolutely pivotal to the MCU. Because, Rob, you and I have speculated this before, but I'll put this out there now. One of the big complaints about Phase 4, besides the fact that it's just not as good as any of the other phases of the MCU so far, is that a lot of people are like, listen, we went through all this Phase 4, and we don't even know what the general idea of the MCU is anymore. Like, we had a couple of interesting standalone movies, some not so good standalone things, one or two good MCU shows, couple not so good, whatever. What's the connection? What's going on? What are we building up to? Kevin Feige said a couple of months ago, it's all going to become clear soon. Well, I think soon is Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man becomes the film that defines for us what is phases 4, 5, what is leading up to Avengers, Secret Wars. What is the whole thing? I think it's all coming together in Ant-Man. I think all the questions will be answered as far as general setting and the direction we're going. I think we're going to get a lot of interesting insight, maybe even a change of perception about what has every movie in the MCU Phase 4 actually been. Whether it's a revelation of Ms. Marvel's bangles or the Eternals themselves or Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings or what's going on. I just feel like, and I couldn't tell you what it's going to be, but I think Ant-Man is going to be the film that like 3 or 4 years from now, we look back on and say, that's where things really got going, was this Ant-Man Quantumania movie. So I don't think you're wrong, Antagonistic Anonymous. I think this is going to be maybe the most significant MCU film since Endgame. So anyway, Rob, we've been talking about this for a long time now. Ant-Man is getting close. We're close to it now. What kind of significance do you think, and Peyton Reed saying this is going to be my Avengers level movie?
Well, I mean, obviously, clearly from the trailers, looks like a different, very different movie from the first. And like you, I've loved the Ant-Man movies, and they're also basically lighthearted heist comedies. You know, there's a lot of humor in those movies.
Oh, I love them.
Ant-Man 1 ends on a girl's train track set in her bedroom. You know, that big battle, it was incredible. I mean, sometimes...
And Ant-Man 2 starts with a cushion for it and a cardboard box for it. I loved it.
Unbelievable. I love those movies. I love the cast. However, like you, I think that this movie has a lot of heavy lifting to do because it's going to be setting the stage for... I think this movie's going to be huge, and I think what's really telling is the trailers have been visually interesting, but there's been very little in terms of what the movie is about.
Oh, very little. We need another trailer.
Yeah, well, other than the people getting sucked into the quantum realm and Kang being in it, I love the fact we don't know anything about this movie. And it's kind of like the trailers for Infinity War and Endgame. I get a little feeling like it's interesting to look at, but we don't know jack all about what this movie's about. And I think they're going to keep it that way because I think there's a lot of revelations. I think there's a lot of surprises. I think there's a lot of stuff we haven't seen. I don't know if the Fantastic Four is going to be there, even though that's what I've been speculating for a long time. But I think this movie, and what's great about it is if you think about what comes after, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy. So this movie's going to leave us on some huge cliffhanger. I don't mean necessarily like dun, 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 but the ramifications are going to be huge. And then you jump to Guardians of the Galaxy, which is about them. It's not going to have much to do with this at all. Then the Marvels is going to pick up with this, but then we're going to be off to the races, whatever. And this thing is going to be, I think people are going to be surprised by this and we're going to be left breathless by it.
And we were just talking about this. It is, again, according to, the American ticket buying site Fandango, when they did the survey with fans, the number 3 most anticipated movie of the year right now for them. So that's interesting. Christian, Rob is mentioning Antagonistic also mentioned it that maybe the Fantastic Family shows up here. I don't think they will. I think that would have meant they had to have been cast like a year and a half ago when they were shooting this. But could Fantastic Four pop up? And is this going to be a truly pivotal movie, or will it just be another next chapter? What do you think?
Well, as far as the question is, could they show up? I don't think that the cast themselves could show up. Could a mention, could something along those lines, the way they mentioned like Doctor Strange earlier on in the MCU, and then, something like that. Sure, that's always possible. Do I think it'll be pivotal? Yes. And one of the major reasons as you talked about before with if you wanted to say that this was the year of, say, Paul Dano, right? Next year is the year of Jonathan Majors with Creed and with this. I think he's already on his way to becoming a massive star. I think next year is where we just crown him the next big star because he's done it the right way.
Well, Devotion didn't do so well. But I do love him.
We're not in it. Devotion should have come out in about a year and a half from now.
Yeah.
Or 2 years from now. And then it would have done a lot better because people haven't seen him in these other 2 movies yet. He's not the star that he's going to be soon. He's a great talent, but he's not the star he's about to be. It's incredible. He just has that thing about him. But one of the major reasons that they need this movie to be pivotal is because you can't assume that everybody has watched Loki. You can't assume that everybody knows who Kang is or who this is yet. This is him establishing. You've got to if you're going to make him the next Thanos, you're going to make him the next big bad. You got to establish why he's the next big bad, and something big's got to happen. And in order to do that, so even there's a couple lines that he says that you've seen in footage, whether it's D23 or Comic-Con, that he says that's kind of sets that up. That this is going to be something he's going to do something in a third movie in a franchise in Ant-Man. Something major is going to happen. The same way that in Guardians 3, something major is going to happen. I agree with both of you guys. I think Guardians 3 is more of a more about them. It's going to close out that loop, but this is going to establish more so into what's our threat, because we don't have one yet. We just have a lot of things happening in Phase 4. There's no big threat yet. This is our threat.
I think that there's going to be cameos in this movie that we haven't even begun to conceive of. Because Kang says, I've killed you before. You know, he talks about
Have I
killing the
killed you
Avengers.
before?
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that we see some of that happen. That we see maybe Avengers characters that are no longer with us get killed again.
In Ant-Man, you think that's going to happen?
Yes.
I'm just so tired of doing that now, because we're always wrong.
I want to throw something to Christian here. So Rob has a theory that I think has a lot of merit.
Yeah.
Rob has a theory, and I want to know what you think about this and if we could see this come to fruition in Ant-Man. Rob's theory of Phase 4 so far, that, you know, at CinemaCon, Kevin Feige called this the multiverse, what do you call it? The multiverse saga, right?
Even had a hat on to that effect.
Rob's theory is that every movie we've seen in the MCU in Phase 4 has actually been in a different universe.
Yeah.
Like, not just one different universe, but each individual film has been in a completely different universe from each other. And maybe in Ant-Man 3, with Kang being there, we see that revealed. What probability do you give that theory?
I like the theory, but it would be confusing to some people, I think. Also, I'd say 10, 15%. That's possible. I think that if you look at it, not the entire universe, because everyone was talking about the Eternals at the end. It's like, where the hell's that big thing sticking out? Nobody's seen that big dude. Where is he? And then they did show in a newspaper article in She-Hulk for like a split second. So clearly that exists in that universe. So like, then they'd have to explain, well, that part of it. If all of Phase 4 is one different universe, maybe, but then they still have a lot of explaining to do overall. It's too tricky, I think, for general audiences. So I'm going to say pretty low.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We're getting close, because what is it, Taylor? It's a February release date for Ant-Man, is it not? We got it coming up in February. It is upon us. How significant do you think, not how good or bad do you think the movie will be, but as far as its role in the MCU right now, do you think it's going to be a pretty pivotal role? Or do you think it'll be, more like the other Ant-Man films that were just really great, more self-contained stories? What do you think is going to happen here? Whatever your thoughts are, jump into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys, with that down, we are now going to move over and start taking your live comments and questions. If you have a live comment or question for the show, we are now opening up the super chats. Go ahead and start firing those in. Now, understand, we're only going to leave the super chats open for just a couple of minutes, so get those thoughts, theories, and questions in quickly. Now, before we get to those questions that you guys are sending in, we want to take another break here and thank two more of the sponsors of our show, DraftKings and our friends at Mint Mobile. Hey guys, we want to take a second and thank one of the sponsors of this video, DraftKings. This time of year, everyone's excited for the holiday spirit, but what about all the basketball? When it's time to throw down on the NBA action, it's gotta be with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame moneyline on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Plus, everyone can combine multiple bets for a bigger payout with DraftKings same game parlays. Just download the DraftKings app, use the code CAMPIA, place a $5 pregame moneyline